The new year is a perfect time to reevaluate financial goals, and many of you out there have goals about your financial well-being, and that means credit scores and access to credit. So it's so important to know the basics about your FICO scores, and we have one of the top experts in the country to help us understand how FICO scores are calculated and what consumers can do better to understand their credit health. Let's bring in Sally Taylor. She's the vice president at FICO. Sally, good morning. Tell me about the FICO score and why it is so important for so many out there.
Yes, thanks for having me. FICO score, a healthy FICO score can help people gain access to the credit that they need for buying a car or remodeling a home. So it's the credit score that's used by 90% of the top US lenders when making lending decisions. So your FICO score is a 3-digit number. It summarizes the information on your credit file. And FICO scores look at things like how long you've had credit, how much credit you have, how much of it is being used, and whether you're making your payments on time.
So, Sally, we understand that FICO just sponsored a survey of thousands of people on the connection between finances, credit, and overall well-being. What did that survey find?
Well, we found that people's feelings about their credit scores are strongly linked to their overall well-being. 85% reported that they feel more secure in the rest of their lives when their credit score is healthy. The study also showed that almost a third of Americans report feeling financially insecure these days. So learning about the right steps to manage your FICO score can help you feel more in control of your finances and well-being during these uncertain times.
You know, it's really interesting how various generations view certain pieces of data. So different from Gen Z to, say, boomers or Gen Xers. How are credit scores viewed across different generations, Sally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's encouraging that the majority, 90% of Americans, say that they at least somewhat understand what a credit score is. If you take a closer look, there are differences across generations. Boomers are more likely to understand their credit scores, while on the other end of the spectrum, at least 1 in 5 Gen Zers say that they only understand them a little bit or not at all. But no matter where people are on their credit journey, being informed and checking scores regularly is important.
How about FICO helping people with no credit history, like some young adults, perhaps people just entering the workforce?
Right. Our survey found that 29% of Gen Zers say they either don't have a credit score or they don't know if they have one. And credit can seem like a catch-22 situation sometimes. In order to get credit, you need a little bit of credit history. To address this, we've introduced scores like the FICO Score XD and the Ultra FICO Score. They analyze data that's found outside of the credit report, like how you pay your telco and utility bills or information from your checking and savings accounts. So these alternative FICO scores help provide that on-ramp to mainstream credit for people that have limited credit experience.
What can people do to improve their FICO scores this year?
The good news is your FICO score is dynamic. It changes with your credit behavior. Your FICO score today doesn't have to be your FICO score tomorrow. Our top 3 tips for how people can improve their FICO score. Number 1, pay your bills on time. That's the most impactful thing that you can do. Number 2 is to be careful not to take on debt that you don't need or can't afford. And then the third is check your score regularly.
Okay, speaking of checking your scores, how can people go and check their FICO score? And where can we get all this information? You've said a lot in just a short period of time. Where can people get this information?
Yes. Well, there are several ways that you can monitor your score. And in fact, to help people take control of their credit, we recently launched a new program that allows you to check your FICO Score 8 for free. So you can do that by going to myfico.com/free. And there's also other educational information to learn more about your score.
Okay, Sally Taylor, Vice President at FICO, we really appreciate your time this morning. I know it was a benefit certainly to our viewers out there. Thanks very much and all the best in 2023.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a look now from our High Five camera downtown Memphis. There is the mighty Mississippi there and also the I-40 bridge. Everything running smoothly. A lot of clouds out there, but certainly we're going to expected to see some sunshine later today. But guess what? The temperature right now is what it's going to be like throughout much of the day, kind of around 40 degrees, not too much more than that or less than that. In fact, there may be a chance for a flurry or two today. Meteorologist Brittany Bryant will have details coming up later in your full 7-day forecast. But right now we want to go to one of the top stories we're following for you this morning, and it involves the death of Tyre Nichols. The Department of Justice and the FBI are now involved. The Attorney's Office of West Tennessee also spoke out about this investigation. Parker King was there.
U.S. Attorney Kevin Ritz, along with a representative from FBI Memphis, spoke broadly on their investigation into the death of Tyre Nichols. Ritz said he sat down with Nichols' family earlier this week.
What I said was that the Department of Justice cares deeply about potential violations of constitutional rights here in Memphis and throughout America.
He added that this investigation goes beyond Memphis offices, including the DOJ's Civil Rights Division in Washington.
We'll be thorough, it will be methodical, and it will continue until we gather all the relevant facts.
Nichols was pulled over by Memphis police in the Hickory Hill neighborhood on January 7th. What was originally reported as a traffic violation ended in a violent apprehension, resulting in Nichols being admitted into St. Francis Hospital, dying there 3 days later. 5 Memphis police officers have since been fired, and 2 Memphis Fire EMTs have been relieved of duty, pending the results of an internal investigation. The release of the video, still unseen by the public, will not be based on the timing of federal and state investigations, as District Attorney Steve Mulroy laid out in a recent discussion.
I am committed to releasing the video as soon as possible, quite possibly before the TBI investigation is completed, but I need to make sure that we do it in a way that is legal and consistent with the statutes governing the release of the video.
When that happens, Ritz and the family of Nichols urge peace.
We want people to express their right to be heard, but we want them to do so in a peaceful and nonviolent way.
Okay, that was Parker King reporting. Reverend Al Sharpton will make his way to Memphis next week to deliver the eulogy at Tyre Nichols' funeral. Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church, the civil rights leader demanding criminal charges against the 5 police officers involved in this traffic stop. Sharpton says firing the 5 police officers is not enough. He says he's against police brutality, and if the TBI and the Department of Justice find that Nichols' constitutional rights were violated, the officers should be prosecuted.
We are against police brutality, not just white police brutality, and that police must pay for their deeds like civilians do. They are there to uphold the law. They're not there to break the law. And to beat somebody into a position where they die is to break the law.
So Reverend Al Sharpton says during his visit he plans to meet with other activists. Final arrangements are set for one of the Mid-South pastors killed in a plane crash that happened last week in Texas. Visitation for Tyler Patterson, a member of Harvest Church in Germantown, will be Sunday, January 29th at the Germantown Church. Visitations from 3 to 5 with a memorial service immediately following. Patterson, Steve Tucker, Bill Gardner, Tyler Springer, all killed in that crash 1 week ago. In fact, a preliminary report from the National Transportation Safety Board says that the plane crashed just 1 mile from the runway near Yoakum, Texas last Tuesday. The only survivor, Pastor Keenan Vaughn, reportedly climbed out of the wreckage and then called first responders on his cell phone. To the Best Life report now, seniors are outpacing just about every other age group in the country when it comes to living below the poverty line. And with inflation at 40-year highs and a recession perhaps looming on the horizon, the numbers are expected to go even higher. We highlighted the focus here and what some solutions are for this growing problem.
Now I'm homeless because when I got out of the hospital, I lost everything. So I had no place to live. I didn't have no place to stay. I do recall sleeping one night behind a dumpster.
Linda Flores is homeless after a car crash left her with a long recovery. Her story is one of thousands playing out across the country at a staggering rate. According to the latest U.S. Census Bureau data, more than 10% of the elderly population is living below the poverty line. That means more than 15 million older adults age 65 and over are economically insecure with incomes below 200% of the federal poverty line. These older adults are trying to live on just under $26,000 a year. A recent study found that less than half of eligible seniors participated in the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Eligible elders can get an extra $250 a month for groceries. Pricey health insurance and prescription costs can take a big bite out of retirees' incomes as well. Medicare Savings Program may be able to cut costs on monthly premiums. In addition, those enrolled in Medicare Part D, which covers prescriptions, should check to see if they qualify for extra help. The benefit can be worth more than $5,000 a year. For more help, the National Council on Aging has a benefits checkup website where you can learn about more than 2,000 resources available to struggling seniors by zip code.
And I have a lot of hope. I have faith in myself that I'm going to go back to reality, okay? Start all over again. And I think that it's going to be okay.
The U.S. Department of Labor has a program that helps low-income jobless seniors find work and get certain training. Another resource is a national nonprofit group, SER, and its network of community organizations that offer job training to older adults. With ways to live your best life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5.
Good morning. Clouds and some flurries here across the Mid-South this morning. You'll still have that potential as we go through early afternoon. This is noon today. Anywhere where you see clouds, you could still see flurries. Notice temperatures above freezing, so anything that falls won't be sticking or causing any big problems. Clouds will gradually clear out, at least for a few hours. By 5 o'clock, it's clear in eastern Arkansas. We're seeing sunshine in areas like Shelby County, going down to Tunica. Still some clouds at 5, but you'll see those clearing out, as I mentioned, for a few hours. More moves in by around 11 o'clock tonight. This is 11:30. May even squeeze out a shower or two in Tunica. Helena, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some flurries overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. All of that will push east. So by 7:30 tomorrow, we clear everything out. We'll have a clear sky on Friday. That will help warm us up, which we need because today's really cold, high around 40 degrees. But look at the wind chills today because of the breeze. We feel like the 20s and lower 30s through the morning. You might see that wind chill get as high as around 34 this afternoon, but that would be the extent of it. Here are the winds that I was talking about. Wind gusts around 20 miles per hour this morning into early afternoon. By 6 o'clock, we'll finally start to see those winds dying down, but it'll be breezy today, just like what we had yesterday. This weekend, rain chances increase and we will be a little bit warmer. I guess that's the upside. 54 degrees on Saturday, 52 Sunday, but a cold front moves through Sunday, so temperatures will drop. You'll probably end up in the 40s by the afternoon, but you'll at least start off a little bit warmer. Let's check out timing. 10 p.m. on Saturday, you have a few showers pushing in, so most of your day on Saturday will be dry. After 5 or 6, I can't completely rule out a stray shower, but I think most of this will hold off until 10 or 11. It'll rain overnight Saturday. By Sunday morning, this is 7 a.m. You get widespread rain. It'll be raining through the morning, but then by noon, we start to dry out along and north of I-40. There will still be some showers in northeast Mississippi, but even those are gone by 3 o'clock. And temperatures will continue to drop as we get into the evening. It'll be pretty chilly at the start of next week. Rainfall totals around an inch from Memphis, down into Holly Springs, half inch in Blytheville, Dyersburg. Rainfall totals a little bit higher, you'll notice, in North Mississippi. So this will be a pretty good soaking, but there's no severe weather to worry about with this one. If you want to get updates on that weekend rain chance, we keep you updated and show you that First Alert Featurecast that I just showed you there on our First Alert Weather app. You can download it for free in the App Store or your Google Play Store. So here's our First Alert 7-day forecast. We're at 41 today. I told you though it'll feel like the 30s today. Low temperature tonight and 31 in Memphis. Outside of Memphis, most of us will probably be in the 20s this evening. And then 55 on Friday, sunshine tomorrow. We will have a breezy wind coming in about 20 to 25 miles per hour again tomorrow too. Upper 30s on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, I showed you those 50s. Behind the front though, we're back into the 30s on Sunday night. 45 is your high on Monday. It does look like we'll be dry on Monday, but then we have a chance for rain Tuesday. And Tuesday through Thursday next week, something to watch for us. The freezing line is going to be hanging out near the Mid-South, so we may see rain, freezing rain, and sleet next week, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday. Still several days out, so we'll keep you updated, but right now there is a first alert to the potential for winter weather next week.
A new study from the journal Nature Communications says there's a health risk that comes with gel manicures. It's radiation from some nail dryers. Could potentially damage your DNA. Could also create cancer-causing mutations in human cells. Yikes. Nail dryers in the study use ultraviolet light. A professor of dermatology says it is similar to the risks posed by UV tanning beds, which are listed as carcinogenic. So researchers are implying that the UV nail lamps are like mini tanning beds for your nails. Mississippi state senators are proposing an $80 million grant for financially struggling hospitals and other programs to attract and keep both nurses and doctors. One proposal would forgive up to $18,000 in student loans for anyone who becomes a nurse and works in Mississippi. Another would give about $20 million in grants to community colleges for nursing and federal health programs, and $5 million to create more residency programs. All right, it is a Tuesday. It's January 24th. We are almost done with the month of January already in 2023. It's amazing. And you know what else is amazing? Talisa Franklin's amazing. She's over at WAVN The Trend. She's talking about the community, the culture, the conversation. She always keeps us upbeat and positive, even in those trying and challenging times. And I got to say, Talisa, it was a tough morning this morning after everything that's been said and done over the last 24 to 48 hours. It was a real heavy news cycle that we're in right now. So how are you doing this morning?
I am wonderful in spite of what's happening now in our city. But you know, Andrew, the beauty of life is that I have faith, knowing that God is going to see us through. I prayed much for the mother because as a mother of a young good boy, I felt her pain. And I believe God is going to make the people that's responsible for this horrific crime pay. And I'm praying that God continue to give her strength. And even on top of that, Andrew, you know, we can't tell what our kids will and will not do. And so to those young men that did this just unhumane act, I pray for their parents, because it's going to be hard to know that my son had something to do with the problem of the murder, the killing, or the beating, however you want to say it, of another individual. Yeah. So our city is totally at an unrest, but I trust God. I trust our elected officials to do the right thing, and I just trust the process. And I'm asking Memphis, listen, let's trust the process. We know that it happened, but it's imperative that our reaction be in a way that we trust our process and we know due process will happen. And because if you do not, you will be taking on some extra mental things in your own mental health that's not going to be good for you personally. And so that's where I am, Andrew, because it was heavy, I think, for the whole city of Memphis on yesterday and coming into this morning. But we got to have the faith and the trust to know that it's going to happen. Everybody will pay for the things that was done that was not right. But we got to definitely protect our mental health, because too much of it will start weighing on us.
I couldn't have said it any better, Talisa. Certainly thoughts and prayers and All kinds of the deepest sympathies for the parents involved in all this. And then mental health. I mean, mental health, once again, is something that is at the forefront. And I understand that you're talking about a very important issue when it comes to mental health awareness that's upcoming.
Absolutely. You know, during the pandemic, many people were having challenges with the mental health, and because we were having so many, and I, thanks to my mentor, I was like, what can I do to help our people with mental health? Because we got to understand, you got mental health and you got mental illness. Those are two different things. Just because you hear mental, we got to make sure that we're taking care of our mental health. And so thanks be to God, I went through and I got licensed with the state of Tennessee in mental health, and I'm very honored that I'll be facilitating a mental health class with Methodist Hospital North, right? And I will actually be teaching for 6 weeks. It's absolutely free, y'all. Free, yeah, free. For 6 weeks, we'll deal with the 6 steps to a healthy mental life. Let me tell you, there are 6 steps, y'all, in order to do. People say, Talisa, do you ever be mad? Do you ever be saying, yes, I have those moments, but I have to know how to turn them on and turn them off where they don't mess with my life, right? But in order to do that, I understand the steps, and I want to share the steps with you all that's listening, that's watching us. Listen, get in this class, sign up today. I'm telling y'all, it's going to be power packed. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to all be healthy together. We're going to deal with those social connections, staying active, managing stress. And that's big, y'all. You got to know how to manage that stress. Brain and healthy diet, quality sleep. You need to sleep, okay? Meaning and purpose. So we'll deal with those 6 steps for 6 weeks at Methodist North Hospital at 3960 New Covenant Pike. I am excited to facilitate this this workshop, this class. It's free to the community. We'll be in for 90 minutes to help you, guide you to the steps to having a healthy mental life. And so I am inviting each and every one of you of the sound of my voice, say, listen, I got to get to that class. Invest in yourself for that 6 weeks. And I believe that after the 6 week, you'll be like, thank you, WMC5, for making sure we knew about this because it's imperative that we have a healthy mental health.
No question. And I'm so glad that you're doing this, Talisa, and being a facilitator. It is a 6-week course at Methodist North Hospital for mental health, and it starts Thursday, February 9th. And we're talking about all kinds of professionals there at the disposal of the students that are in that class, right?
Absolutely. You know, not only will we give all the information about that, but also there'll be resources. You know, it's one thing to get the information, say, okay, what did I do now? Listen, we're going to get you resources, and we're going to get you different people that can help you further this. So it doesn't have to start with me at 6 weeks. Listen, there are great mental health professionals that's right here in our city. Whether you have insurance or not, let me make that note. There are so many amazing providers in our city that want to help your mental health, even if you don't have insurance. So don't listen, Talisa, I don't have insurance. Listen, this class is free, and we will connect you with the resources to help you be that better version of you that you know that you can be.
Well, Talisa Franklin, we always appreciate you and your insights and everything that you're doing for the community, the culture, and the conversation. Thank you so much. God bless you and your family, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right. Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here with the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Tennessee is not immune to the nationwide healthcare workforce shortage. Matthew Malby is a co-founder of StaffHealth.com, and he's going to talk about some of the long-term impacts of healthcare worker shortage, along with what it means for patients and other nurses. Matthew, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about this healthcare worker shortage in the state of Tennessee. How bad is it, first off?
You know, we're dealing with a looming nursing shortage, and can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we're dealing with a looming nursing shortage. And, just like the rest of the United States, Memphis, Tennessee is also, part of that. Just for 2022, we need about, 1.1 million RNs nationwide. And Tennessee's also taking a hit on that as well.
Okay, and Matthew, what are the long-term impacts of this? I mean, obviously it's tough to deal with right now, but if it doesn't get resolved and it doesn't get corrected, what's some of the long-term impacts?
Long-term effects are really going to be on the patients, unfortunately. With not enough nurses in these healthcare facilities able to give proper patient care, that is leading to facilities not being able to accept new patients. So it really comes down to the patients in the healthcare world. And if we don't turn this around, it's going to be, rough for quite some time. But certain facilities have been taking some action as well, including different outside sources that can really help out with facilities during this time.
Let's talk about a little bit of that action. What's being done to help resolve this crisis, and how long will it take to get levels back where they should be?
Well, that's a very good question. A lot of healthcare facilities have been starting with some training, especially in the Memphis area. A lot of new nurses lacked training during the COVID outbreak. There was less proctors, there were less training, there was less clinical experience. So a lot of healthcare facilities are revamping training programs. What we really are seeing is nursing going to more of a gig economy. Which means that nurses are looking for flexible schedules, ways to get paid quicker, more options. And they will really want that work-life balance since the pandemic has been going on, they're realizing that they need that work-life balance in order to maintain a healthy mindset, as well as give proper patient care as well. And I think facilities are definitely starting to see that.
How bad is Tennessee's shortage compared to some other states?
Tennessee's also dealing with a shortage as well. It's pretty up there, just like other states. I mean, there's other states I personally think that are definitely struggling more. But Tennessee is right in the realm of it. We need a tremendous amount of nurses by, in the next 10 years. It's mind blowing. But Tennessee is, we're doing a good job of trying to get that number up, get new people graduated and trained. But also bring back the passion in the nursing space as well.
Do you think burnout, we heard so much about burnout during the pandemic. Is this one of the issues, one of several issues, the main issue?
Yeah, so burnout definitely is one of the main issues. A lot of people, a lot of nurses did experience big time burnout throughout the pandemic. So it's definitely on the radar. Another very large factor is our aging population. 34% of nurses are going to be retiring this year. And with the aging population and early retirement added on to the nurse burnout is really putting a strain on our nursing shortage. And everyone's trying to do their best to kind of, wiggle their way through that, but also increase nurses and, like I said, bring back the nurses into the environment they love.
What should healthcare facilities be doing to address this problem right now?
Healthcare facilities in the short term, really the flexible scheduling, they're offering incentives, they're offering bonuses to get people in. But I think a lot of it has to do, that's not sustainable for a long run, right? So a lot of healthcare facilities need to start really looking at their training, how they're really going to keep these people, retention, right? They need to retain nurses in this space so they can have a long-term impact on healthcare and healthcare patients as well.
So we're in Memphis, and of course we talk about West Tennessee, but we also talk about North Mississippi and Eastern Arkansas. How bad's the shortage over there?
Mississippi is also struggling. We do a lot in Mississippi and Arkansas. It's been hit pretty hard. Some of the biggest things that we're seeing is wages. A lot of lower wages in some of those areas, and we're working hard to get those wages up. That will give incentives to nurses to start, working more, picking up more shifts, and really dedicating themselves to these facilities as we get through this pandemic, the tail end of it at least.
So now that we're, a lot of viewers are watching this and they're trying to figure out, okay, what can we do, or what can we watch for if we need medical care, if we're, a patient? What are some of the things that we can do from our perspective?
Well, from a patient, I mean, there's a lot that you could do, but first and foremost is, you need to get proper care. And what the pandemic has really kind of brought to light is, a lot of home health care, right? There's a lot of telemedicine that came about from the pandemic. Telemedicine has been, kind of on the back burner for many years, but since the pandemic, it's actually like expedited it and speed up so fast that we're almost like 5-10 years ahead of time now. So patients can continue to see healthcare providers. They can still continue to get care. Some of it might be from home, some might be telemedicine. But in terms of the facilities, some are short-staffed, but we're trying our hardest to make sure everything's fully staffed so we can give the proper patient care in this field.
Okay, Matthew, anything else we can touch on you feel is important about this issue and ways to resolve it?
I think we're starting to head in the right direction to really get incentivized, these nurses to start, picking up more shifts, to start working and really give patient care. And, Staff Health is here to help as well. We offer different apps for providers and facilities to get, care fast and especially for last minute shifts and long-term or short-term. We're here to help too, but we'll be following it closely. And we're hoping that everything comes out smooth at the end. So we're very optimistic.
Okay, Matthew Mawbey, co-founder of StaffHealth.com. We appreciate your time. Thanks so very much. And hopefully next time we speak, we can talk about better things on the horizon for the nursing and doctor shortage. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Good morning. Clouds and some flurries here across the Mid-South this morning. You'll still have that potential as we go through early afternoon. This is noon today. Anywhere where you see clouds, you could still see flurries. Notice temperatures above freezing, so anything that falls won't be sticking or causing any big problems. Clouds will gradually clear out, at least for a few hours. By 5 o'clock, it's clear in eastern Arkansas. We're seeing sunshine in areas like Shelby County, going down to Tunica. Still some clouds at 5, but you'll see those clearing out, as I mentioned, for a few hours. More moves in by around 11 o'clock tonight. This is 11:30. May even squeeze out a shower or two in Tunica. Helena, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some flurries overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. All of that will push east. So by 7:30 tomorrow, we clear everything out. We'll have a clear sky on Friday. That will help warm us up, which we need because today's really cold, high around 40 degrees. But look at the wind chills today. Because of the breeze, we feel like the 20s and lower 30s through the morning. You might see that wind chill get as high as around 34 this afternoon, but that would be the extent of it. Here are the winds that I was talking about. Wind gusts around 20 miles per hour this morning into early afternoon. By 6 o'clock, we'll finally start to see those winds dying down, but it'll be breezy today, just like what we had yesterday. This weekend, rain chances increase and we will be a little bit warmer. I guess that's the upside. 54 degrees on Saturday, 52 Sunday, but a cold front moves through Sunday, so temperatures will drop. You'll probably end up in the 40s by the afternoon, but you'll at least start off a little bit warmer. Let's check out timing. 10 p.m. on Saturday, you have a few showers pushing in, so most of your day on Saturday will be dry. After 5 or 6, I can't completely rule out a stray shower, but I think most of this will hold off until 10 or 11. It'll rain overnight Saturday. By Sunday morning, this is 7 a.m. You get widespread rain. It'll be raining through the morning, but then by noon, we start to dry out along and north of I-40. There will still be some showers in northeast Mississippi, but even those are gone by 3 o'clock. And temperatures will continue to drop as we get into the evening. It'll be pretty chilly at the start of next week. Rainfall totals around an inch from Memphis, down into Holly Springs, half inch in Blytheville, Dyersburg. Rainfall totals a little bit higher, you'll notice, in North Mississippi. So this will be a pretty good soaking, but there's no severe weather to worry about with this one. If you want to get updates on that weekend rain chance, we keep you updated and show you that First Alert feature cast that I just showed you there on our First Alert weather app. You can download it for free in the App Store or your Google Play Store. So here's our First Alert 7-day forecast. We're at 41 today. I told you though it'll feel like the 30s today. Low temperature tonight and 31 in Memphis. Outside of Memphis, most of us will probably be in the 20s this evening. And then 55 on Friday, sunshine tomorrow. We will have a breezy wind coming in about 20 to 25 miles per hour again tomorrow too. Upper 30s on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, I showed you those 50s. Behind the front though, we're back into the 30s on Sunday night. 45 is your high on Monday. It does look like we'll be dry on Monday, but then we have a chance for rain Tuesday. And Tuesday through Thursday next week, something to watch for us. The freezing line is going to be hanging out near the Mid-South, so we may see rain, freezing rain, and sleet next week, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday. Still several days out, so we'll keep you updated, but right now there is a first alert to the potential for winter weather next week.
Okay, so new representative of District 86 recently met with Shelby County Commissioners. We're talking about Justin Pearson. He will serve after the passing of Representative Barbara Cooper, who served District 86 for more than 26 years. And this is a district that stretches all the way from Millington down to Westwood, the Westwood community of Memphis. Bria Bolden has more on him.
That item passes.
In a unanimous and bipartisan vote, Shelby County Commissioners appointed Justin J. Pearson to serve as representative for District 86.
We're going to continue to do in Memphis and Shelby County is to elevate the voices of people who've been most marginalized in order that we might create the necessary changes to create and change our systems in this city and in the state.
Pearson, an environmental justice activist who advocated against the now failed Byhalia pipeline, won in a landslide against 9 other opponents, beating out seasoned politician Julian Bolton by almost 950 votes.
You have someone as epic as Representative Cooper, who has such a long-standing career, her shoes being filled by a millennial. It just feels very fulfilling to me. So I'm excited for him and the support that is rallying around him. And then from one organizer to another, it also is very exciting to me just to see the power of organizing brought into government.
Pearson comes after the late Representative Barbara Cooper, who served District 86 and its 45,000 voters for more than a quarter century. Supporters say she'd be proud that Pearson is filling her shoes.
Justin answered that phone 2-3 in the morning just like Miss Cooper does, and so I think he will carry on her legacy, and he had that Cooper spirit on him.
Cooper's legacy is not lost on Pearson, who plans to continue her work and his own in Nashville.
And her legacy is the work that we are hoping to continue and to push forward, right? To receive the work left undone is this job. There's a lot of work left undone that she wants for us to continue and that our community is counting on us to do. And that's what we're going to do in Nashville. We're going to keep doing the work.
Mississippi faith leaders going to the state capitol to advocate for prison reform. Members involved say their goal is to bring change by advocating for more humane treatment of inmates. Former inmate Teron Moore is the director of Strong Arms for Mississippi, a community group that mentors at-risk youth. He believes his experience of positive prison reform can be a leading example for the state.
It was reform that really brought me home, and it's important to me that I bring awareness to this situation and also be an example that people deserve another chance.
Recently, attorneys hired Jay-Z and other entertainers. They ended 2 lawsuits filed on behalf of Mississippi inmates over living conditions inside prisons. One of the men charged in the murder of 2-year-old Layla Washington is now free. Brandon McCray had his accessory charge dropped yesterday after cooperating with Memphis police. His cousin Tillon McCray pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder back on Monday. Police say Brandon was driving the car when Tillon shot and killed 2-year-old Layla Washington in a road rage incident back in 2017. A man pulled over for driving without a license in Arkansas, now charged with sexual assault and sexual indecency with a child. 33-year-old Brad Westbrook is from Poinsett County. He was arrested January 15th. Police report said he had a child with him when he was pulled over. He told police the child was his, but police found that was untrue. The child told police that Westbrook had been holding them against their will. Westbrook's being held on a $250,000 bond. A Memphis site where a man was lynched more than 100 years ago is one step closer to being placed on the National Park Register. A historical marker off Summer Avenue was placed at the site where L. Persons was lynched in 1917. Persons was accused of murdering a 15-year-old white girl. Although there was no credible evidence linking him to the crime, the site will go before the National Register of Historical Places Board. President of the Lynching Sites Project of Memphis says the vote has great significance.
It's very, very, very significant. It shows that this site has very great historical significance, not only locally here in Memphis, but across the nation. When this event actually occurred, it was talked about on the floors of the U.S. Congress. It was written about to the president at the time.
First sale of medical marijuana in the state of Mississippi happened this week. It happened at a store in Brookhaven, just south of Jackson. Before the sale was final, store staff, patients had to jump through one more hoop to get their needed items. The executive director of the Mississippi Cannabis Trade Association, Melvin Robinson, says the system the state uses to process the sales had some issues, but after a 2.5-hour delay, first product was purchased from the Brookhaven Cannabis Company.
I was probably 17 bottles of pills. I weaned myself off, and for this purpose. I knew this was coming. We moved here from Houston in 2020, and I've seen this happen, so I'm just excited to be one of the first in there.
Later today, the Oak Court Mall in East Tennessee will go up for auction. The mall is still open to the public. The owner of the mall filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to restructure and pay down some $1 billion in debt. The auction will be at the Shelby County Courthouse, expected to start around noon. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee announced he will deliver his 5th State of the State address on Monday, February 6th. In a statement, he said, in part, quote, "Tennessee is leading the nation, and I look forward to sharing my budget and legislative priorities for the upcoming year that will ensure we remain a standard for opportunity, security, and freedom." The joint session will happen at 6 o'clock in the evening in the House Chamber of the Tennessee State Capitol in Nashville. Memphis Grizzlies went into last night's game against the Warriors looking for a win after losing 3 straight. Without Steven Adams out with an injury, he'll be out 3 to 5 weeks. Ja Morant helped the team with 29 points in this game. Brandon Clark was the next best scorer with 19. It was a close game throughout, but with 1 second left, the Warriors scored. They got the win, 122 to 120. So Memphis now has lost 4 in a row. Memphis back on the court again tomorrow night in Minnesota against Timberwolves. Tip-off is set for 6:30. There is a brand new pilot program at Collierville schools, and it is taking off to new heights. Sydney Hawkins has more on this incredible program that's happening right now.
It's a dream in the making for many Collierville middle and high school students.
And the fact that they're willing to pay for it is it's just a blessing.
A $2 million grant awarded by the Tennessee Department of Education in 2021 is giving students the opportunity to soar in the district's aviation flight program.
We're trying to come up with programs that are in demand, where companies need high-skilled labor, and train those students in high school so they're ready to go at graduation.
Several classes, including dual enrollment courses through the University of Memphis and 55 hours in flight school, will help students get licensed at an incredible rate.
These Collierville students are getting their private pilot license, and the school is funding roughly $12,000 of that.
The program is just one of nearly 24 career-focused programs in the district, helping seniors like Dylan Page.
I just want to be a pilot for FedEx.
And Thomas Weber.
I knew being a pilot is something I've always wanted to be.
Get one step closer to their career goals.
We have multiple different careers in my family. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, a lot in business, but no one's a pilot. I just wanted to be original and do something else.
In Collierville, Sydney Hawkins, Action News 5.
Okay, the official tax filing season is underway. Don't forget, April 18th is the tax deadline this year. Typically, it's the 15th, but it is the 18th this year. Amanda Sansoni has some do's and don'ts to make sure your tax filing experience is smooth as possible with all the changes this year.
This tax season, expect surprises that could impact your wallet. Several tax breaks have changed, and the IRS has announced new upgrades.
Every tax year, there's something new for people to deal with.
Money coach Lynette Calfani-Cox has these 5 do's and don'ts to avoid surprises when filing your taxes this year. 1 do, file electronically.
You're going to get a faster refund check if you're owed.
2, this year there's no stimulus money headed your way, and there's been changes to certain tax credits, like the enhanced child tax credit, which was up to $3,600 per child and is now down to a maximum of $2,000.
For a family that had 2 small kids, before they would have got $7,200. Now they're only going to get $4,000.
Which leads to tip 3. Don't expect a fat check from Uncle Sam. Last year, the average refund issued was $3,176. Experts say that's expected to be much lower this year.
The fact that many people aren't going to get that big tax refund check that they had been anticipating is going to hurt a lot of families' budgets.
4, do get help filing, either from a professional or from the IRS. The IRS expects improved customer service this year. The agency says it's hired more than 5,000 people to take calls and added more in-person staff to support taxpayers. And 5, don't procrastinate and file on time. This year, the official date to file returns by is Tuesday, April 18th. For Consumer Watch, I'm Amanda Sansoni.
Okay, did you know that 90% of Americans, 90% say money affects their stress level and they're anxious about their financial situation? And another huge majority, 88% of Americans believe they have room for improvement when it comes to their financial wellness. So with that in mind, and January being Financial Wellness Month, let's bring in Tammy Trenta. She's the founder and CEO of Family Financial to talk about ways that we can improve our financial health. Good morning, Tammy. I know that when people think of New Year's resolutions, at the top of the list, in addition to diet and exercise, is finances. So where do we start?
That's a great question. I like to equate financial wellness in the beginning of the year, much like an annual wellness visit at the doctor. And the first thing that you want to do is get organized, gather all of your statements, homeowners, property tax, investments, bank accounts, Social Security. You want to get your estate planning in order, and just look at those things because laws change, the economy has changed, premiums have changed, we've had inflation. So kind of gathering the information is a really important first step. So we do our annual wellness checkups once a year in the beginning of the year because most investors want to know how they did. And so then that leads us to the next step, which would be knowing your rate of return. Now, this might not be a great year to look at how you did, but you can't really put your head in the sand. It wasn't a great year in the stock market, and you need to make sure that you're still on track for meeting your goals. So you want to look at how your performance was. What was your rate of return this year? Surprising how many people don't know that. Whether there were any losses harvested in your account for your income taxes or any rebalancing that had been done throughout the year. If you don't have an investment account yet or an advisor, the beginning of the year is a great time to get started.
Yeah, no question, Tammy. In fact, a financial planner is recommended. I have one, and the way I tell people is like, hey, that's their whole job is to know rates of return, know what the market's going to do, look at predictors, things that I don't have time to spend on. They focus on it, and so when I talk about having a financial planner, it's huge. I would think that when you start getting organized, one of the ways that you begin is with a budget, right?
Absolutely, especially in a year where we've had, unprecedented inflation since the 70s. So a lot of those things or subscriptions that you've had might have snuck up throughout the year. And so it's a great time to review your budget, review your savings goal. You might even find some new money for a new goal that you might have this year by just taking a look at what you need and what you don't need.
Exactly. And budget, saving goals. What about knowing the numbers? That's on the list too. Tell me about that.
Well, one thing that you need to do is know what you need in order to become financially independent. And that means knowing your numbers. So updating a financial plan is a great way to start off the year, especially in a year where, like I said, we've had a down market. The down markets happen maybe once every 4 or 5 years. So you want to make sure you're still on track. If you're not on track, then right now is the best time to change what you're doing, because wealth accumulation tends to accelerate or decelerate pretty quickly the longer that time goes on. So, I think there's a statistic every 5 years that you delay your savings, you actually have to double the savings to meet the same savings target.
One of the things that I'm concerned about, just looking at things, is I'm concerned about inflation, and inflation being at such a high rate. It was, the highest in 40 years last year. There's nothing that suggests that it's going down considerably anytime soon. How do you combat against that as a financial planner? What do you tell your clients?
Well, when we go through the financial plans, we account for inflation. So that's something that you want to make sure when you do your projections that you have an increased spending level every year. So if you're spending $80,000 a year, you need to be able to spend more to just have the same expenses. So that's how we handle inflation. But I also think that planning is not really a set it and forget it kind of thing. Not only are there changes in the economy like inflation, the stock market performance, the real estate market, interest rates, but you also have things in your personal life that change. Maybe you're getting married, maybe you're having a child. And one thing we know is that everybody's life changes all the time. And so it's really important to have a list of things that you do to follow up and things that you'd like to accomplish throughout the year.
Tammy, this has been a great list. Is there anything else we haven't touched on you feel is important? Because, this is January is one of those months where everyone's trying to get their financial goals in shape and set for the rest of the year.
Yes, the last thing that I'll say is you need to look at it every year. So it's not a one-time financial plan that sits on your coffee table collecting dust. There are a lot of financial advisors out there. You want to work with a certified financial planner and someone who practices as a certified financial planner. So looking at the plan every year is really, really important, and I can't emphasize that enough.
Okay, Tammy Trent, founder and CEO of Family Financial. We appreciate all those financial tips. They are so helpful to so many people out there. Thanks very much. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. Research shows that loneliness and isolation can have negative effects on our mental and physical health. Our nation's veterans are not immune. To combat this issue, the VA has developed something called the Compassionate Contact Corps. It's a program pairing volunteers with lonely and socially isolated vets. Let's talk more about this program with Prince Taylor. He is Deputy Director of the VA's Center for Development and Civic Engagement. To discuss this program and more, Prince Taylor, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How serious?
Good morning. How are you?
Is that? Doing well, thanks. How serious of an issue is this?
Well, unfortunately, research reveals that loneliness is prevalent across an array of populations. And so even the U.S. Surgeon General before COVID mentioned that we were at risk of an epidemic of loneliness. And so at VA, we look at all of that through the lens of veteran care. And we know that our veterans are more susceptible because of high trauma, high stress, burnout, and even some clinical issues where they actually might feed off of each other. And so all of those things put our veterans at greater risk for clinical conditions such as depression, heart disease, and suicidal ideation.
So, Prince, tell me about this program, the VA's Compassionate Contact Corps program.
Yes, well, it is a virtual, award-winning, non-clinical social prescription program where we pair trained volunteers with veterans that are lonely or socially isolated that have been referred to the program by their VA clinician.
Okay, and what kind of feedback have you received about this program? You said it's award-winning, apparently.
Yeah, more than apparent. It is, yes, it's award-winning. The feedback we've received has been overwhelmingly positive. Our veterans, some of them, this is the only legitimate phone call that they get that week, that month, and so they really appreciate it. But we also have veterans in the program that are happily married. So you can be happily married and still experience quite a bit of loneliness because there are these different spheres of loneliness. We've done a survey, and over 85% of our veterans told us that the program makes them feel less lonely. And over 92% said it makes them feel that the VA cares about their overall well-being, which is great because that goes to speak to our trust scores with our vets. And I would also say that it's not just the veterans and their families and their caregivers that benefit from the program. So do our volunteers, so do our clinicians, and we've also gotten a lot of great feedback from some of our partner organizations like American Red Cross, American Legion Auxiliary, and AARP.
How much of this has been exacerbated by the pandemic, where we all had to lock down, we all had to be separated, that sort of thing?
That's a great question. We don't have the exact numbers for that, but we do know that our numbers with participation in the program have continued to increase. Since the pandemic started, we have reached over 3,000 veterans across the country with about 1,100 volunteers. And last year, they made over 13,000 phone calls around the country.
Is this program specifically designed for older veterans?
That's another very interesting question. Initially, it was designed just for the older veterans and their caregivers, but right now we have veterans from their early 20s all the way into their 90s participating.
That's great news. Okay, so we've let our viewers kind of know a little bit about this program. Where can volunteers go and get more information?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first, let me say that our volunteers are priceless to us. They can get into the program or any of our other great volunteer opportunities by reaching out to their local VA medical center right there in Memphis, or they can go to volunteer.va.gov online. And for our veterans and their families, they can just let their VA clinician know that they're interested in the program. It's really that simple.
Okay, well, listen, Prince Taylor, we really appreciate you, and thank you for informing us about this great program and award-winning program that's helping veterans out there. We appreciate it.
Thank you for helping us get the word out. Really appreciate you.
So many people are trying to eat better, eat healthier. That's one of the big New Year's resolutions, right? And it's so important to really kind of take an inner look at what you're doing. How are your eating habits? Are you eating too much at late? What are you eating? Should you be eating as much as you are? Should you be eating less? There's so many different questions, and that's why we're going to bring in a clinical dietitian here. This is Kristen Wyenberg. She's our clinical dietitian with Regional One Health. Kristen, how are you this morning? I'm doing great. So let's talk about healthy eating, and let's first talk about the meal of the day, that first meal and breakfast. Tell me why breakfast is so important.
Yeah, so it's the first meal of the day. You always hear that it's the most important meal of the day, and I definitely believe that because it fuels your brain, first of all, and then it's just another opportunity to get in important nutrients throughout the day. So, fiber, protein, vitamins, minerals. If you're skipping out on breakfast, then you're skipping out on another opportunity to get those things in your diet. And then also, if you eat breakfast, you're also less likely to overeat later in the day, which is a problem for a lot of people. So I definitely recommend starting your day with a healthy breakfast.
So if you were to craft, I guess, kind of the perfect breakfast, what would that entail?
Yeah, so I always say you want a protein, a carb, and color. So fruits and vegetables. So you do want to have your protein, like you were saying earlier, because that's going to help you feel fuller and more satisfied longer through the day, versus the carbs alone would just run through you and then you would be hungry again. So you want to have all of them. You want to have carbs, so like oatmeal, protein, from like a hard-boiled egg, and then some sort of color for vitamins and nutrients. So like a fruit, like mixed fruit, or maybe some spinach in your eggs, something like that. But that would be considered the ideal breakfast.
Okay, and sugar is. I feel like I'm a health conscious guy. I try to eliminate a lot of the sugars and trans fats out of my diet and all that stuff. Sugar is really just kind of the root of all evil, isn't it? I mean, it's inflammatory. It increases aging. I mean, we shouldn't have it at all, right?
So you definitely want to limit the amount of sugar that you're eating. I would say that trying to completely eliminate it is probably unrealistic because there is going to be sugar in everything. So, taking the approach of trying to completely eliminate sugar I would say is not the way to go. You want to take baby steps to decrease the amount of sugar that you're consuming. You basically want to set yourself up for success. So if you're trying to be perfect and completely eliminate it, that's going to be tough, versus if you try to take baby steps to, use a little bit less sugar in your coffee every day until you're drinking just black coffee. That is a better way to approach it, so that you don't feel discouraged if you end up, having a piece of candy or something like that. You want to set yourself up for success.
So, Kristen, I'm curious of what you think about this next question, because we've talked to someone specifically about intermittent fasting. And as you get older, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, intermittent fasting seems very hot. In fact, it's one of the hottest fads right now in terms of dieting. A lot of people skip meals. Where do you stand on skipping meals, intermittent fasting, that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. So I personally do not believe in skipping meals. I just so that, a lot of times when you skip meals, you're going to end up overeating later in the day. So I believe in eating more regularly scheduled meals and snacks, just so that you have a steady state of nutrients coming in throughout the day. Intermittent fasting can work for some people, but if you're just starting out in your healthy eating journey, I would definitely recommend sticking with regularly scheduled meals and snacks. A lot of people, will try to save up, like they'll skip meals, they'll try to save up, for a big dinner at the end of the day, but you actually end up overeating in calories if you do that, compared to if you just eat some at breakfast and then enjoy your meal at night. So I would definitely, if you're starting out, just eat 3 meals a day, 2 snacks a day, and try to keep a steady schedule.
Kristen, what about someone who's watching right now? Because we have thousands that are watching us currently. If they are just starting out on their healthy food journey and they want to figure out, okay, I can't have too much sugar, I need to have breakfast, I got to have protein. Give us a really simple guideline of where people should begin their healthy eating journey. I mean, maybe bullet points or something like that. Can you do that for us?
Yeah. So if you're just starting out and you want to eat healthy, I would say, the first thing is to try to have each food group at each meal. So like I said, look at your plate. You want to have a carb on it, a protein on it, and some sort of color. So that's a simple formula for you to remember. The second thing is to try to plan meals ahead. You don't want to go into a new journey without a plan. So just write down a list of 3 meals that you want to cook for the week, make extra of all of it, and then eat that for the week. And then make sure, the third thing that I would recommend is just stock your fridge and pantry with healthy, ready to eat foods. You don't want to have any barriers to success. So surrounding yourself with healthy options that you like is a good place to start. I really like, frozen veggies are easy, hummus, edamame, hard-boiled eggs, Greek yogurt. Those are all examples of healthy snacks that you can keep stocked in your pantry or fridge. And then lastly, just work on making one healthy choice at a time. So meet yourself where you're at. If you normally eat eggs and bacon for breakfast, see how you can either what you can change or what you can add to make that healthier. So for example, switching out the bacon for turkey bacon or adding a side of fruit. You just really want to meet yourself where you're at and take baby steps, and surround yourself with foods that you like and remove any barriers that would hinder your success.
I got you, Kristen. I know that there are so many different staples. You mentioned a number of them there. Having healthy food around you, so key, so important. You mentioned, frozen veggies and hummus and Greek yogurt, berries, nuts, that sort of thing. Eggs are like sky high right now, price-wise. Any alternative to eggs, since it is like super expensive to buy some of the good ones?
Yeah, I would recommend yogurt, especially in the morning, Greek yogurt, because that's going to be the highest in protein, or even like milk, dairy products. Those are going to be good alternatives in the breakfast sense, or adding protein powder to a smoothie. Those would be the alternatives I would recommend.
Okay, and then I know diet is more important than exercise, but give me the relationship between those two in order to have kind of a healthy lifestyle, healthy living, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so exercise is extremely important. Like you said, diet is in theory more important, but it works better if you combine the two. So exercise is good for your brain health. It helps you manage your weight. So you have a little more leeway with what you're eating if you're exercising more. You want to fuel your exercise with a healthy diet. It strengthens your muscles and bones. It improves your overall quality of life. So I would definitely recommend exercise. The current recommendation is getting 30 minutes of like moderate activity a day. And then if you can throw in 2 days of strength training or any type of body weight resistance training, that you will definitely set yourself up for success.
All right, Kristen, this has been great. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go that you haven't mentioned with regards to eating healthier lifestyle, way to connect with your healthy goals in 2023? Maybe just some regular steps people can do every day.
Yeah, so like I said, just don't try to be perfect, plan ahead, make your grocery list, and just try to have each component on your plate, and don't skip meals. And then if you are trying to further your goals, you can always reach out to a dietitian at your local gym, reach out to, dietitians at your local hospital or outpatient clinics, and we can help you with your journey.
Kristen Wayenberg, clinical dietitian for Regional One Health. We really appreciate this conversation. We're always trying to better ourselves, trying to eat healthier, and this really helps us a lot. So appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. Clouds and some flurries here across the Mid-South this morning. You'll still have that potential as we go through early afternoon. This is noon today. Anywhere where you see clouds, you could still see flurries. Notice temperatures above freezing, so anything that falls won't be sticking or causing any big problems. Clouds will gradually clear out, at least for a few hours. By 5 o'clock, it's clear in eastern Arkansas. We're seeing sunshine in areas like Shelby County, going down to Tunica. Still some clouds at 5, but you'll see those clearing out, as I mentioned, for a few hours. More moves in by around 11 o'clock tonight. This is 11:30. May even squeeze out a shower or two in Tunica. Helena, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some flurries overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. All of that will push east. So by 7:30 tomorrow, we clear everything out. We'll have a clear sky on Friday. That will help warm us up, which we need because today's really cold, high around 40 degrees. But look at the wind chills today. Because of the breeze, we feel like the 20s and lower 30s through the morning. You might see that wind chill get as high as around 34 this afternoon, but that would be the extent of it. Here are the winds that I was talking about. Wind gusts around 20 miles per hour. this morning into early afternoon. By 6 o'clock, we'll finally start to see those winds dying down, but it'll be breezy today, just like what we had yesterday. This weekend, rain chances increase and we will be a little bit warmer. I guess that's the upside. 54 degrees on Saturday, 52 Sunday, but a cold front moves through Sunday, so temperatures will drop. It'll probably end up in the 40s by the afternoon, but it'll at least start off a little bit warmer. Let's check out timing. 10 p.m. on Saturday, you have a few showers pushing in. So most of your day on Saturday will be dry. After 5 or 6, I can't completely rule out a stray shower, but I think most of this will hold off until 10 or 11. It'll rain overnight Saturday. By Sunday morning, this is 7 a.m. You get widespread rain. It'll be raining through the morning, but then by noon, we start to dry out along and north of I-40. There will still be some showers in northeast Mississippi, but even those are gone by 3 o'clock. And temperatures will continue to drop as we get into the evening. It'll be pretty chilly at the start of next week. Rainfall totals around an inch from Memphis down into Holly Springs, half inch in Blytheville, Dyersburg. Rainfall totals a little bit higher, you'll notice, in North Mississippi. So this will be a pretty good soaking, but there's no severe weather to worry about with this one. If you want to get updates on that weekend rain chance, we keep you updated and show you that First Alert feature cast that I just showed you there on our First Alert weather app. You can download it for free in the App Store or your Google Play Store. So here's our First Alert 7-day forecast. We're at 41 today. I told you though it'll feel like the 30s today. Low temperature tonight and 31 in Memphis. Outside of Memphis, most of us will probably be in the 20s this evening. And then 55 on Friday, sunshine tomorrow. We will have a breezy wind coming in about 20 to 25 miles per hour again tomorrow too. Upper 30s on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, I showed you those 50s. Behind the front though, we're back into the 30s on Sunday night. 45 is your high on Monday. It does look like we'll be dry on Monday, but then we have a chance for rain Tuesday. And Tuesday through Thursday next week, something to watch for us. The freezing line is going to be hanging out near the Mid-South, so we may see rain, freezing rain, and sleet next week, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday. Still several days out, so we'll keep you updated, but right now there is a first alert to the potential for winter weather next week.
Okay, Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. If you have the Action News 5 news app, you just got a push alert just a few minutes ago, and it is about Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy holding a news conference this afternoon at 2 o'clock with an update on the Tyre Nichols investigation. So again, that is at 2 o'clock. It's going to be at 201 Poplar on the 11th floor there. Just reading from the press availability sheet that we got here. It's just essentially what we are hearing is that is an update on the investigation. He will be joined by other members of the DA's office and be joined by representatives from the TBI, so the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. So again, this is happening later this afternoon at 2 o'clock downtown Memphis. We will carry it here on WMC Action News 5 and actionnews5.com. I want to go right now to the first public comments made by Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis. She made it just after 10 o'clock last night. We have been talking about it and playing some of these comments throughout the morning here on Action News 5. Right now, I want to play these comments. It is roughly 4 minutes, and these are her first public comments on the Tyre Nichols investigation. Take a look.
In light of the horrific circumstances surrounding the death of Tyre Nichols, it is absolutely incumbent upon me, your chief, to address the status of what the Memphis Police Department is doing, has done, and will continue to do in furtherance of finding truth in this tragic loss, ensuring we communicate with honesty and transparency, and that there is absolute accountability for those responsible for Tyre's death. As you know, 5 Memphis police officers were terminated last week. These officers were found to be directly responsible for the physical abuse of Mr. Nichols. Concurrent within that investigation, other MPD officers are still under investigation for department policy violations. Some infractions are less egregious than others. As this investigation and other external investigations continue, I promise full and complete cooperation from the Memphis Police Department with the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and the Shelby County District Attorney's Office to determine the entire scope of facts that contributed to Tyre Nichols' death. Aside from being your chief of police, I am a citizen of this community we share. I am a mother. I am a caring human being who wants the best for all of us. This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane. And in the vein of transparency, when the video is released in the coming days, you will see this for yourselves. I expect you to feel what the Nichols family feels. I expect you to feel outrage in the disregard of basic human rights, as our police officers have taken an oath to do the opposite of what transpired on the video. I expect our citizens to exercise their First Amendment right to protest, to demand action and results. But we need to ensure our community is safe in this process. None of this is a calling card for inciting violence or destruction on our community or against our citizens. In our hurt, in our outrage and frustration, there is still work to be done to build each other up, to continue the momentum of improving our police and community relationships and partnerships, to show those who watch us now that this behavior is not what will define our community and our great city. This is not a reflection of the good work that many Memphis police officers do every day. What comes next is our defining moment. What we all do next can be that reflection of our character. I am not wavering in my commitment to you to have a police force that is here to serve and protect you. Those 5 officers and others failed our community, and they failed the Nichols family, and that is beyond regrettable. I have met with and offered condolences to Tyree's mother and father, and have asked for the support of our community leaders and clergy in this extremely difficult moment. But words are only temporary salves that need to be followed by true, responsible action and change. It is my intent as a proactive measure to ensure that a complete and independent review is conducted on all of the Memphis Police Department's specialized units, and the commitment of my executive leadership to ensure that policies and procedures are adhered to in our daily encounters with the citizens we are sworn to serve. In the days ahead, I ask that you continue to pray for the family of Tyree Nichols, the Memphis Police Department, and our great city.
Okay, were the first comments from Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis regarding the Tyree Nichols death investigation. By the way, there is a candlelight vigil for Tyree Nichols. It is today, January 26th. It'll be tonight, 7 o'clock at Toby Skate Park. He was known as a big skater enthusiast, and so they want to have a candlelight vigil there at the skate park. Again, tonight, 7 o'clock. That's Toby Skate Park on 2599 Avery Avenue. And our Stephanie Douglas talked with civil rights activist, the Reverend Al Sharpton, delivering the eulogy for Tyree Nichols at his funeral next week.
They are there to uphold the law. They're not there to break the law.
National civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, says he's outraged. He's calling for the 5 Black former Memphis police officers to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law after the arrest and beating of 29-year-old Tyree Nichols. Nichols was arrested January 7th after a traffic stop. He died 3 days later.
How do you excuse 5 trained men? I don't care what they say he said to them or whatever. 5 trained men could not deal with this without beating him to death. There's no way I would go for that.
Sharpton says firing the officers is not enough. He says if the FBI and U.S. Department of Justice finds that Nichols' constitutional rights were violated, then the officers should be prosecuted.
We are against police brutality, not just white police brutality. And that police must pay for their deeds like civilians do.
During his time in Memphis, Reverend Sharpton plans to discuss best practices with other activists about how to improve the community.
So it's important we come in to do what they feel is going to help the efforts in the local community, not to try and overshadow and overpower them.
Okay, so Sharpton is expected to deliver that eulogy at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church February 1st at 10:30. Stay with us here on Action News 5 on air, online, at the digital desk as this story continues to develop. Again, DA Steve Mulroy is expected to deliver some comments at 2 o'clock later this afternoon. It's expected to be with regards to an update on the investigation. And stay with us. We'll continue to bring you updates on that. I want to move to some other news right now. Historical marker has been unveiled at the Parchman area of Mississippi. The marker sits across from the front entrance of the Mississippi State Penitentiary, memorializing the state's recognition of activists known as the Freedom Riders, who were jailed there in 1961. They were civil rights activists who fought to desegregate the South. Commissioner Burl Cain commended the new marker, said work is underway on getting a museum there on prison grounds. To space now, and NASA says there's an asteroid that is really making a close encounter with Earth, but perhaps one of the closest yet. Nothing to worry about, though. No risk of an asteroid dubbed 2023 BU affecting our planet. The asteroid estimated to be about the size of a box truck will zoom over the southern tip of South America today, 2,200 miles above the Earth's surface, as it is expected to turn into a fireball and disintegrate harmlessly in the atmosphere. The bigger debris will potentially fall as small meteorites. All right, if you want to buy a house this year, you're not alone. Millions of Americans expected to shop for a new house, but analysts say it's likely only a small percentage will be able to afford it. This is from a new survey from NerdWallet showing home buyers are overconfident in the market. On average, research shows Americans hope to spend about $269,000 a year, or $269,000 on a home, but the median price for a home is $100,000 more than that. Last year, 70% of Americans who planned to buy a home did not succeed. The future of Memphis music now has a new state-of-the-art facility to inspire students on their musical journeys. Kim Clark takes us inside the Scheidt Family Performing Arts Center at the University of Memphis.
This rehearsal space and the building in which it resides, smack dab in the middle of Memphis on Central Avenue, is nearly 25 years in the making.
What we're sitting in right now is part of the vision of Rudy and Honey Scheidt.
Honey and Rudy Scheidt were transformational givers to the University of Memphis, particularly to the music department, where the couple's $3 million gift elevated the music program, which was renamed the Rudy E. Scheidt School of Music in 2000. The couple's children, now adults, recall their parents' dedication to the school's music students and their attendance at every musical performance.
They also have the incredible passion for the arts, and they supported everything and incredible passion for music.
Kevin Sanders, the director of the School of Music, says the new 82,000 square foot Scheidt Family Performing Arts Center was also part of the couple's vision for the school.
They were the ones that put the stake in the ground and primarily said this is what we have to do, and started the fundraising, and they gave a major gift to get this up and ready. That was the seed that started it all.
The center includes a 900-plus seat concert hall with expanded stage space and exceptional acoustics.
So as the performance changes, no matter what the genre of music or style, we can adapt the acoustics, we can adapt the lighting to where a member of the audience can feel like they're sitting in the middle of a rock concert or feel like they're sitting in the middle of a symphony orchestra concert.
One of the largest recording studios in the Mid-South, big enough for a full-sized symphony orchestra, sits in the back of the center, complete with state-of-the-art recording equipment and a control room big enough for an entire class. There are also dedicated rehearsal spaces, classrooms, and modern music laboratories.
But the building's also been completely wired for amazing online programming and be able to do long-distance learning and things of that nature.
For the Scheidts, the center is a culmination of their parents' dream for the school and the city.
I think that they would be rejoicing that the building is actually here. And I think they'd be so proud for our community to be able to have this fabulous facility.
And although at its core the Scheidt Center is about education, The entire Memphis community will be able to enjoy its many offerings, including but not limited to the area's many performing artists who will be invited to grace the stage.
It's going to be wonderful for the Memphis community to be able to come in and see those concerts, but also for our students to be able to walk down the hallway, interact with those professional musicians, those professional artists, and all of that creates this really amazing environment that makes it special and makes it unique, that it's incredibly difficult to find that anywhere else in the country.
I think they felt it was important to introduce arts to all so that it's a transformative medium, and specifically, they wanted to help the students in Memphis continue the legend that we are of the city of making fabulous musicians.
The Scheidt Family Performing Arts Center, giving School of Music students real-world experiences and the community world-class entertainment. More reasons to be proud to call the Mid-South home. Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Check out this. The Memphis Zoo announced its plan to add 150 new team members for the upcoming spring season. Hiring blitz will start with a job fair Tuesday, February 7th from 2 to 5 for anyone who wants to learn about some open positions at the Memphis Zoo. Wide range of jobs, too, guest services, education, admissions, and much more. We posted the information online at our website, actionnews5.com. Let's talk about chronic pain for a minute here. So many people have it, and a lot of times for years, the way to deal with chronic pain is to use prescription pills, prescription medication. But there's one orthopedic spine surgeon that is taking more of a natural approach to dealing with chronic pain. Check this out. 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. suffers with chronic pain. Medications, medical devices, and surgery have been used by doctors to treat chronic pain, but at least one doctor thinks there's a better way.
So the misnomer is that there's always something structural wrong, and the real answer is there's rarely something structural wrong.
Dr. Hanscom is an orthopedic spine surgeon and believes that doctors should treat chronic pain by treating the root cause, like lack of sleep.
40% of Americans don't sleep. We know that actual lack of sleep actually causes chronic back pain. Causes it. It's not the result of chronic pain, it causes chronic pain.
He also believes in a technique called expressive writing, where you write down your thoughts and then tear them up. This method is a form of meditation in that it helps people separate from their negative thoughts, which adds stress to the body, causing pain.
And I would say within 4 to 6 weeks after people start the expressive writing, start getting better sleep, symptoms really drop down dramatically.
And some researchers say what you eat also helps. Studies revealed that turmeric, cloves, capsaicin, ginger, and fish oil can all improve chronic pain. In fact, one study from the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center found more than half the patients with neck or back pain who participated were able to stop taking prescription painkillers after being on fish oil supplements for 75 days.
Good morning. Clouds and some flurries here across the Mid-South this morning. You'll still have that potential as we go through early afternoon. This is noon today. Anywhere where you see clouds, you could still see flurries. Notice temperatures above freezing, so anything that falls won't be sticking or causing any big problems. Clouds will gradually clear out, at least for a few hours. By 5 o'clock, it's clear in eastern Arkansas. We're seeing sunshine in areas like Shelby County, going down to Tunica. Still some clouds at 5, but you'll see those clearing out, as I mentioned, for a few hours. More moves in by around 11 o'clock tonight. This is 11:30. May even squeeze out a shower or two in Tunica. Helena, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some flurries overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. All of that will push east, so by 7:30 tomorrow, we clear everything out. We'll have a clear sky on Friday. That will help warm us up, which we need because today's really cold, high around 40 degrees. But look at the wind chills today. Because of the breeze, we feel like the 20s and lower 30s through the morning. You might see that wind chill get as high as around 34 this afternoon, but that would be the extent of it. Here are the winds that I was talking about. Wind gusts around 20 miles per hour this morning into early afternoon. By 6 o'clock, we'll finally start to see those winds dying down, but it'll be breezy today, just like what we had yesterday. This weekend, rain chances increase, and we will be a little bit warmer. I guess that's the upside. 54 degrees on Saturday, 52 Sunday, but a cold front moves through Sunday, so temperatures will drop. You'll probably end up in the 40s by the afternoon, but you'll at least start off a little bit warmer. Let's check out timing. 10 p.m. on Saturday, you have a few showers pushing in, so most of your day on Saturday Saturday will be dry. After 5 or 6, I can't completely rule out a stray shower, but I think most of this will hold off until 10 or 11. It'll rain overnight Saturday. By Sunday morning, this is 7 a.m., you get widespread rain. It'll be raining through the morning, but then by noon, we start to dry out along and north of I-40. There will still be some showers in northeast Mississippi, but even those are gone by 3 o'clock. And temperatures will continue to drop as we get into the evening. It'll be pretty chilly at the start of next week. Rainfall totals around an inch from Memphis down into Holly Springs, half inch in Blytheville, Dyersburg. Rainfall totals a little bit higher, you'll notice, in North Mississippi. So this will be a pretty good soaking, but there's no severe weather to worry about with this one. If you want to get updates on that weekend rain chance, we keep you updated and show you that First Alert feature cast that I just showed you there on our First Alert weather app. You can download it for free in the App Store or your Google Play Store. So here's our First Alert 7-day forecast. We're at 41 today. I told you, though, it'll feel like the 30s today. Low temperature tonight and 31 in Memphis. Outside of Memphis, most of us will probably be in the 20s this evening. And then 55 on Friday, sunshine tomorrow. We will have a breezy wind coming in about 20 to 25 miles per hour again tomorrow too. Upper 30s on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, I showed you those 50s. Behind the front though, we're back into the 30s on Sunday night. 45 is your high on Monday. It does look like we'll be dry on Monday, but then we have a chance for rain Tuesday. And Tuesday through Thursday next week, something to watch for us. The freezing line is going to be hanging out near the Mid-South, so we may see rain, freezing rain, and sleet next week, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday. Still several days out, so we'll keep you updated, but right now there is a first alert to the potential for winter weather next week.
When we get a chance, we always love talking to the best food reporter in Memphis and the Mid-South. We've got Jennifer Chandler on the line with us at the digital desk. Jennifer, good morning. We are talking about king cakes, some of the favorites out there. How are you?
I'm doing very good, and I have to just say, king cakes, in my opinion, are perfect for breakfast, lunch, dinner, afternoon snack, late night snack, you name it. You can enjoy them all you want for the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, round the clock, baby. Here we go.
So if you're not familiar with king cakes, it's a Mardi Gras tradition that kicks off during Epiphany, which was January 6th. And from that point on until Fat Tuesday, which is the day before Ash Wednesday, you can enjoy a king cake. And the tradition goes is this cake is it's like a yeasty cake similar to a cinnamon roll dough, and it can be stuffed with lots of good things, but it's always decorated with like vanilla icing and has the cinnamon sugar, not cinnamon sugar, but the colored sugars on top and the Mardi Gras colors of gold and purple and green. And they are so good. But one of the things, if you happen to get the baby when you're taking a piece, tradition has it that you are to host the next party and bring the king cake for the next party. So it's kind of a catch-22. You get to be king for the day, but then you got to bring the next king cake.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, everyone always wants to find the baby, right?
I know. Well, and it used to be that if you wanted a good king cake, you'd have to drive down to New Orleans or you'd have to have one shipped to Memphis. And over the past few years, more and more Memphis bakeries are making king cakes, and they are making really good king cakes. So I have on the commercialappeal.com right now, I have a list of 14 places in the Memphis area where you can find a delicious king cake. But I wanted to talk about a few of them because they're all a little bit different. And actually, I think a good challenge should be spend the next 2 weeks tasting all 14 of them would be a good one. It'd be a good challenge to have.
Ooh, good.
So you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, so one of my favorites has to do with the fact that I like a cream cheese stuffed king cake. And Sweet Lala's Bakery in East Memphis has a really good cinnamon roll dough, and they have turned it into this kind of big, and it's kind of, you can see from the picture, the cake is kind of like, it's fat. It's like this big, and it is stuffed with this delicious vanilla cream cheese. And it is really, really good. It's good room temperature, but if you ever happen to catch one when they're pulling them out of the oven when it's warm or you reheat it, it's nice, and the icing gets all gooey, and it's It's really, really worth every calorie that you can have. But that's a really pretty one that you can see that they have. It's one of my favorite. La Baguette makes a really good one as well. And theirs is more what you would think of when you get one from Gambino's or someplace like that down in New Orleans. It's a thinner type cake, but again, it has all the goodness and you can order it. La Baguette, I actually think they just have the cinnamon roll flavor. Not cinnamon, but the cinnamon flavor. But there are places like the Donut Hut. We didn't have a picture of theirs, but they're out in Collierville and they make a king cake and they can have it stuffed with everything from like cherry and blueberry. I think they're doing a Bavarian cream one this year. And they have multiple sizes so that you, depending on what size group you're getting, you can get a really big giant one, or you can get a medium one, or you can get a small one that feeds maybe like 6 to 10 people. So the Donut Hut has a lot of different flavors and different types of things you can choose from. Moving away from those traditional versions that those two places, if you're just wanting a king cake for two, what some of us sometimes do, the Ginger's Bread Company in Midtown, he makes a traditional size king cake, but he also makes one that serves two, that's really tasty and it's very cute. There's also Memphis Whistle, which is a bar. You would not think to pick up your king cakes, but they make individual sized king cakes there. And what's really cool about there, Jeff Hicks, who is the owner, he is all about, he's a mixologist. He's all about making his own infused alcohols and spirits. And he infuses vodka with cinnamon bark to make this kind of almost like fireballish type vodka. And they use that as the cinnamon base when they're making the icing for their king cakes. So that's kind of fun. And you can order those in advance. She'll have them. Amanda is his wife and they have them. She's the one, the baker, and she has them in the restaurant. Most days a limited number, but you can order these individual size ones there. Okay, moving from the non-traditional even further, there are a couple places doing some really interesting flavors this year. One is Farm and Fig, which is a prepared foods shop that is in the Cooper and Young neighborhood. And owner Dina Grazzani told me that they're going to be making their traditional one this year that comes with cinnamon and cream cheese. But they are doing one called the King Creole, which I can't wait to get a bite of this one. It is stuffed with a banana and peanut butter pastry cream, and it's got the vanilla icing and all the sugar, on top, but it also has candied bacon on top. I mean, does that not sound like sinful and sinfully good?
Yes, very decadent. I love it. Keep it going, Jennifer. Yeah. We love it.
And then also St. Michael's Church does king cakes every year. Their head pastor and priest, Ben Bradshaw, before becoming in the priesthood, he was a chef. And so he does a lot of cool things around food, and it's a fundraiser for them. They are doing king cakes this year, and they have a whole variety of flavors. I actually had their Nutella one last year, and if you like Nutella, that's definitely one you might want to try, but they have a big selection of flavors as well. And one I'm really excited about this year is, in the past, king cakes really, if you're gluten-free, you really haven't had an option, just because of the nature of what a king cake is. But this year, the gluten-free bakery Jacques Louise, which is an online bakery, you order a special order only, she is making gluten-free king cakes for those who can't have gluten. So there is an option now for those of you that want something different. And one of the things I'm going to say about all these king cakes is order them in advance if you think you want one. I mean, as I said, many of them say that they have some in stock, but they're probably going to help, the week or two before Mardi Gras, they're probably going to only have one or two in-house, and they will probably sell out quickly. And especially if you want one right about Mardi Gras, like around that weekend before Mardi Gras or on Fat Tuesday, they only have a limited amount of capability in their bakeries, so they will cut off orders. And most places I find sell out a couple of weeks in advance for those big days, that Saturday and Sunday and that Tuesday of Mardi Gras weekend. So definitely order in advance if you think you want to order one for a group. But if anything, just go find one over the next few weeks. It's good. I mean, they are so good. I have to admit, I may have already had 2 or 3.
Well, you know, that gluten-free option, that's a good option for a lot of people. My wife's gluten-free, so that's a big one that we can enjoy and take part in. Tell us the dates again, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, just so we have it down.
You know, I'm sitting here and I'm all of a sudden, I was like, had this senior moment. I want to tell you real quick about the exact date, because, you know, Fat Tuesday changes every year. And so, wait, I'm looking at, February 21st. As soon as I got on here, I was like, wait, I forgot to double check the date. So you have until February 21st to enjoy a king cake. So.
Awesome. And then Primus Bakery, I see this one here.
Oh, it's Prima's Bakery and Boutique.
Yes.
So Prima's is Spanish word for cousins. And there are 2 cousins that own this cute little bakery that is downtown on South Main. It's kind of like a couple of bays down from Ernestine and Hazel's. And they do just amazingly beautiful desserts, and it's a fun gift shop boutique. And so this is their king cake. And as you can see, when you look at these pictures, everybody's king cake is a little bit different. And that's what I love about it. It's fun to go and taste and see how different they are. And one of the things about Prima's is, in addition to the king cakes, they're making king cake donuts. They're making king cake macaroons. They're making I think king cake decorated cookies. So they have a lot of fun things on their menu that are definitely worth checking out. I'm trying to think of who else that I have forgotten to mention. There's so many good ones on the list. Oh, and it's not necessarily a cake, so it didn't make my list, but insiders know that if you love a donut and you love a king cake, the 2 weeks prior to Fat Tuesday, king cake donuts show up in the case at Gibson's Donuts. So that's a good thing to know.
Say no more. You know, that's awesome. I love the cream cheese filling. I mean, the Bavarian cream and some of the other ones. I didn't know there was so much creativity when it came to king cakes. It wasn't. I knew it was not a one size fits all, but certainly there's a lot of creativity. I really enjoyed that. Okay, so people can see this on commercialappeal.com/food, right, Jennifer?
Yes, I have the full list is up there now, and it'll actually be in the print edition Friday. And definitely check it out. And I said, let me know which are your favorites. And if you discover one somewhere else that somehow I missed, please let me know, because I'm originally from New Orleans. I was born there. I mean, I grew up pretty much in Memphis, but there's certain things that have a special place in my heart, and the king cake tradition is one that definitely does. So I want to make sure that I include everyone that I can in that list. So if you find someone that's making a great one, send me a note. Let me know.
Awesome. Jennifer Chandler, the Commercial Appeal food reporter. We always appreciate your segment here on the Digital Desk. Thanks very much.
It's good to see you. Happy Mardi Gras.
Okay, thank you. Good to see you as well. Now let's talk about an important issue that affects all Americans, right? Because we know that there's 2 guarantees in life, death and taxes. And certainly these tax returns this year is going to be a doozy. There's going to be a lot of changes. So we got to go to our expert here, Mark Stever, Tax Information Officer with Jackson Hewitt, always in the know when it comes to this stuff. I saw Mark kind of laughing there as I was introing him. How are you, Mark? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Very exciting time for all Americans. It's tax refund time.
Tax refund time. Certainly some changes this coming year for these tax returns for 2022. Tell us some of the big changes people need to watch for.
Yeah, it may seem like it was not a year of big change because there was not a lot of media on tax law changes and that year-end bill fizzled, but there are a lot of tax law changes. We call it the year of the great tax reset. A lot of the benefits that were put into place for the pandemic, increased child credit, dependent care credit, earned income credit, being able to deduct charitable donations if you don't itemize, all of those expired last year at the end of 2021. So they're not in place for 2022, and that could cause lower refunds for some taxpayers and may have some tax refund shock or tax refund risk of shock if you're not careful. So it's probably a good idea to pay extra close attention to your taxes this year and get after it a little bit earlier than you might have in the past.
Okay, so let's walk through it just kind of step by step here. Let's talk about first the changes you mentioned, the child tax credit in 2022.
Well, for 2021, it was about $2,000, up to about $1,400 was refundable. Jump ahead to 2022. Or 2021, pardon me, the government changed the bill to allow $3,600 per young child and all of it refundable. Well, at the end of 2021, that expired, so it's not in place for 2022. It's back to that original amount, $2,000. And that's just one example. So if you had child tax credit last year or dependent care credits last year or earned income credit and you were single last year, you got a much bigger refund last year. Those won't be in place for this tax return, and it could result in a lower refund. Now, there's still great benefits, and they're still there. They'll just be a lot different. So I would tell your viewers this: don't use last year's tax return as your absolute guide for what to expect this year. Life changes and pandemic changes notwithstanding, the tax changes reverted back to prior pandemic amounts.
Okay, what about the child and dependent care credit change? Tell us about that.
Similar to the earned income credit, it was double, tripled, and made fully refundable in 2021. And then that expired in 2022 and was not updated. So it's back to the pre-pandemic amount. Now, if you do have children that were in daycare so you could work, or you and your spouse could work, or summer camp even, you still have a nice big credit. It's just not as big as the 2021 size credit was.
Sorry about that, Mark. Those who are self-employed, what kind of changes are they looking at?
Well, there's still some great benefits if you're self-employed, full or part-time, have a side gig. The big one we've seen, and it continues to be big, the home office deduction. It's available if you're self-employed, full, or even part-time, or even if your spouse is. Not available if you're an employee. And there's a host of other deductions from travel, cell phone, computer, marketing, pocket expenses, out-of-pocket expenses, lunches, materials. All of those can go in to reduce your taxable income from your side gig and make your return on your activity a little bit better. So if you have side gig income, and a lot of people have since the pandemic, make sure either you understand what all the rules and deductions and options are, or your tax pro does, and keep really good records, because every deduction reduces your taxes and can increase your tax refund.
A lot of people are going to be wondering if they can still write off their charitable donations this year. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's one of those ones that you could during 2021 at the height of the pandemic law changes. It expired in 2022. You still get a nice, healthy charitable donation for cash to your church, your mosque, or your synagogue, and even the fair market value of stuff that you donate. Unfortunately, it's only available if you itemize. In America, you need to get the standard deduction, or if larger, the itemized deductions, mortgage interest, property taxes, and charitable donation, among the many. And you have to be an itemizer to take charitable donations. People still do, but not as big as the option was in 2021 when you didn't even have to itemize to take that. But again, that one expired last year, not here this year. So when you go doing your taxes, don't look at last year's return as your roadmap for what to do. A good tax pro will know, but other people might make a mistake.
What about the earned income tax credit? Any changes in this year?
Well, it's one of the most overlooked tax credits. 1 in 5 people fail to take advantage of it. First, the good news, it's still in place. It's still a $6,000 plus maximum credit if you have 3 or more dependents. Unfortunately, for last year, like some of those other rules, if you were single, they tripled the amount of the earned income credit up to about $1,500. That, like those others, expired at the end of 2021. But it's still a nice credit. It's still a credit for moderate and middle income taxpayers that have earnings, and it's one that's often overlooked. So if you're not sure if you get the earned income credit, like a lot of the others, education credit, dependent care credit, and more, make sure you talk to a qualified, trained, and experienced tax professional to make sure you get all those credits. Because if there's one thing besides death and taxes like you open, if you leave it off your tax return, it stays off your tax return. The IRS is not in the business of making sure you get all your benefits. Only you and a tax pro, if you use one, can do that.
Okay, and finally, will there be more stimulus checks or recovery rebate credit this time?
certainly does not seem to be in the play right now. They floated that idea last year a little bit. It never really caught traction. So I do think you'll see one of the big stimulus payment checks like the $1,400 and the others. Now, some states are doing it, and they're creating a little bit of confusion on how you get it. Is it automatic? But in large part, there will be no stimulus on the 22 tax return. But a lot of other things still are. I go back to the credits we talked about, deductions we talked about, other benefits that if you look to your tax return, and more importantly, life changes that you had during the year, got married, got divorced, had a new dependent, taking care of a dependent parent, all of those can add to your tax return, tax refund, and they're not as big as tax law changes in the way of publicity. So if you had something big happen in your life, gone back to work full-time, self-employed, sidebar, side gig, make sure you tell your tax pro you may be sitting on some other boosters for your tax refund this year.
Mark, this has been so good. You've given us so much information out there. Where can people find that information online?
Well, any good tax company has a good website, jacksonhewitt.com. We have videos, tax tips, checklists to get started. You can put your zip code in and find an office near you. Make an appointment if you don't just want to walk in. A lot of things on our website at jacksonhewitt.com. But it's important to know next Monday is when IRS really starts processing tax refunds. So there's no reason to wait. Your documents are coming in. Get that shoebox envelope ready. File early, get your money early. You don't have to be Warren Buffett to know that makes sense. And you can start as early as today, but it'll start filing with the IRS on Monday.
And the deadline this year is April 18th, right?
That's correct. The 15th is on a weekend, and anytime it's on the weekend, it falls to the following Monday, which would ordinarily be April 17th, except that this year, that's Emancipation Day, a national holiday in Washington, D.C., so it moves to the next day. So you have a couple of extra days, April 18th, to file your taxes. But again, there is no good reason to wait. 3 out of 4 people get a refund every year. We expect that this year. File early, get your money. File early, lock up your data with the IRS in case one of those schemers has stolen your name and your social or your spouse. So file early, get your money. File early, lock up your data. And most importantly, file early in case you have new questions that come up from all the stuff we talked about. You don't want to be up against that midnight hour on the 18th looking for records for your side gig income. You want to do it early for all the right reasons, mostly because if you do money, you get the money. And even more importantly, if you owe taxes, and here's a big secret for your viewers, if you file early and you still don't have to write that check or debit card or checking account until April 18th at midnight. So filing early is separate from paying early. You can pay later.
Okay, tax information officer, the chief tax information officer for Jackson Hewitt, Mark Stieber. Mark, I always love chopping it up with you when it comes to taxes, what to watch for, what to not include or include this year. You spell it out so perfectly. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good luck to you all. It's the time to file.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 digital desk. And of course, if you are a pet owner, we love our pets. They're like members of our family. But would it surprise you to say that more than half of dogs and 60% of cats are classified as clinically overweight? And believe it or not, the majority of these pet parents don't even realize that their pets are dealing with this type of problem. So joining me now to talk more about this, how pet parents can really do the best for their pet, is veterinarians from the Nat Geo Wild Show Critter Fixers, Country Vets, Dr. Bernard Hodges and Dr. Terrence Ferguson, also here to talk about a new campaign from Hills. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Thank you.
Doing really well. I'm looking forward to talking to you more about this topic because I am a pet owner. I love my pet. And I think sometimes we tend to treat our pets like humans. We'll give them food from the food that we're eating on the table. And so I guess, Dr. Hodges, let's start with you right out the gate and just talk about some of these concerning trends when you're talking about your pet's health.
All right. So, pet obesity is really a growing trend. And you said it yourself. We all love our pets, and we kind of, equate love to food. But the big thing is knowing food is definitely not love. Spending more time throwing the ball, walking, belly rubs definitely shows a whole lot more love. And it definitely is better for your pet. I can give you a prime example. We treat police dogs and, basically canine officers. And, I had a canine officer, or basically a police dog that came in, and they noticed it was getting sluggish. It wasn't quite working as well, with as it was. And, this dog was quite a bit overweight, and the handler would give it a treat every now and then and do different things. So we were able to get this pet to lose some weight, and he's back in action and doing so much great. So the big thing is, let's just remember, food is not love. Belly rubs, kisses, hugs are definitely love.
You know, I think it's an important topic because we work with the Humane Society here in Shelby County often. They bring in pets to try to get them adopted. And they actually had a dog that was in here recently that had lost a bunch of weight. They had gotten the dog from the pet owner, and the pet owner was actually feeding their dog French fries and cheeseburgers every single day, which obviously is not good for your pet. It's not meant for you to eat that regularly like that. And so I guess my next question is, what does this obesity mean for your pet? Because it can have some implications as far as their health goes, right?
It definitely can. You know, French fries and hamburgers is definitely not the best food. We definitely want to keep them, you know, along with your veterinarian, you know, on a nice, balanced, good food, you know, and Hills has done a great job with this. But the big thing is, you know, as veterinarians, we see all kinds of problems like arthritis, we see hypertension in dogs, and we also see things like diabetes way too much, you know. Dogs come in, they're overweight, the owners knows it, they're drinking a whole lot and urinating a whole lot, and they're just not acting themselves. And, you know, we unfortunately diagnose them with diabetes and all kinds of disease, and these are all preventable with the perfect diet.
And some pet owners might even realize that their pet can have diabetes like that, the same as humans can. And so obviously, like you said, it can have those, the health implications. And so it's important to make sure that you're being mindful about what you're feeding your pet, because you are what you eat, right? So I do want to bring in Dr. Yeah, I want to bring in Dr. Ferguson, though, because I know that you can tell us a little bit more about the Hills Annual End Pet Obesity Campaign. Fill us in. What's that all about?
Yeah, so the End Pet Obesity Campaign is a campaign that Hills does, and the great thing about it, it helps, you know, veterinarians like Dr. Hodge and I, who are boots on the ground in these exam rooms, and we see these babies that are overweight, and sometimes it's a little tough, you know, to convey to the owners that, you know, your baby may be a little bit overweight. You have to be very tactful in how you talk to them and let them know, because the end thing is we want to be able to help the patient. We're not trying to insult anyone. So they are, you know, have come out with a campaign and a test that we can use to work with the clients to let them know if their baby is a little bit obese. And they are just the pioneers in food. You know, they have these foods that are developed for weight loss and weight maintenance to make sure that we keep these babies healthy.
So, Dr. Ferguson, how can a pet parent, if they're maybe looking at their pet, how can they know? Is there things to look out for to determine whether you're not, your pet is overweight? Are there certain things that maybe to watch for, or what can you share?
Yeah, you know, when it comes to, you know, the owners and trying to determine if their babies are obese can be very difficult. You know, a lot of times these babies, they gain weight very slowly, and it's not as noticeable as part of the clients. And also, some of our babies have a lot of hair. You know, a lot of these cats have a lot of hair, and the owner may say they're just a little bit fluffy, but it may be a little bit more under that fluff than we need to be under there. So he'll come out with a test that's called the love test. So Dr. Hodges, we're going to show a little love, but in a different way for an assessment tool.
That's great.
And L is you want to locate your pet ribs. The O is you want to observe the body from the top. The V is you want to view the body from the side. And the E is you want to evaluate what you're feeding. And you use this tool to determine if the baby is ideal weight, which hopefully it is, but we know a lot of them aren't and they're overweight, and this determines that. So it allows you to do the test, get with your veterinarian, which is important, to make sure that we get this baby on appropriate food. And Hills make a variety of weight management products, and each animal is a little bit different, which is why you need to get with your veterinarian. Some of the beauties of this diet is, you know, you're not starving your baby. You're allowing them to feed a normal portion, but it just doesn't have all the energy in there. It has things in there for weight reduction, and it tastes good, and they get to, you know, have normal portions.
I like that, the love test, and like you said, I've seen those foods available at my veterinarian, you know, when I've taken my pet there. Some great information, and definitely an important topic because we love our pets. So where can people go if they want to find out a little bit more?
So you can go to endpetobesity.com and you can learn all about the love test. We all know February is the month of love and it's coming on, and we want candies and treats and everything, but let's definitely keep those away from the pets. So endpetobesity.com, you can learn all about the love test. and ways to keep your pet nice and healthy.
And like you said, with Valentine's Day right around the corner, might as well take that love test for your pet to make sure that you are doing the best for your fur baby. Dr. Hodges, Dr. Ferguson, I appreciate your time. It's been great chatting with you. Y'all have a good one, all right?
You too.
Thank you very much.
Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. There is a new COVID-19 variant that is spreading in the U.S. Let's talk more about this with Dr. Jamie Wagner. She's clinical assistant professor of pharmacy practice at the University of Mississippi School of Pharmacy. Dr. Wagner, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Andrew. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Are you in Oxford or in Jackson?
I'm actually in Jackson.
Okay, great. So tell us about this COVID variant.
Yeah, so this COVID variant is actually a sub-variant of the original Omicron strain. So two different Omicron strains decided that they would like to cooperate and work together. And so they kind of merged into this XBB.1.5. So it is still an Omicron strain, but it's just a little bit more virulent, meaning it's easier to spread to people. And so that's why we're seeing it spread so quickly through the US right now.
So easier to spread, but my understanding, and I'm not a doctor, so forgive me, but my understanding is it's easier to spread, but it's less harsh. Is that correct?
That is correct from what we know of right now, yes.
Okay, so so what else do we know about this variant, how it's affecting people? How long has it been around?
So I think that's a great question. So the variant has just recently emerged within the last couple of months. And so again, as far as we know, there are still a lot of people having hospitalizations, but having a vaccine or a prior COVID exposure has actually prepped immune systems to be ready to tackle this one. So I think that's just the more important thing to keep in mind is that if you can get a vaccine, even the updated bivalent Omicron booster COVID vaccine, that will offer a lot more protection against any of the severe and harsher side effects from this new strain that's coming out.
Okay, and you know, we've been seeing over the last, I think it's more recently now as opposed to, let's say, 2 years ago, where the vaccine is getting a lot more critical, a more critical eye of what exactly are the side effects? Do people really need it? The spike proteins. So to our audience out there that's very concerned about the vaccine and maybe some of the side effects, what do you have to say to that?
I think that's a great question, and I 100% agree with you. I think a lot of people are still very concerned about what are the potential long-term side effects of getting the vaccine, and I think you really have to weigh in, well, what are the long-term risks of getting COVID, especially if you haven't been vaccinated? And so if you look at it, the side effects from the vaccine are actually quite mild. And they usually go away within a few days versus if you contract COVID, especially if you're not previously vaccinated or have not previously been exposed, these side effects can be quite severe, leading to hospitalization or death. But I think the thing that really kind of scares me as a healthcare provider is the long COVID. So these lingering symptoms for months, even into years, where all we can do is kind of help treat the symptoms, but we can't help make them go away right now. And I think for me, knowing that the vaccine or any prior COVID exposures can help protect me against long COVID or protect me against getting hospitalized or dying from any new strains that are going to be coming out or are currently out, I think that really speaks volumes to me to go ahead and give me a peace of mind that I'd rather get the vaccine than worry about any long-term downstream effects from contracting COVID.
Okay. And again, I don't want to get into, you know, the argument or the both sides of the vaccine debate because there's so much to do with that. But from your perspective, how many people who get COVID get long COVID?
It's actually quite high percentage of people will get long COVID, but at the same time, it's really hard to know who will get it. So it doesn't necessarily matter if it was a super severe incidence of the infection versus a mild incidence. We just can't tell who is more at risk for having long COVID than others. But the risk of getting long COVID after an infection is quite high. And we're talking around like 70–80% of people.
Okay, so what's the biggest takeaway here? We got this new variant. It's not as strong as some of the other variants, but it's spreading faster. And there might be some people out there that says, we've been through, we've had this pandemic going in its third year right now. I'm going to take my chances on maybe getting COVID, or I don't want that vaccine, or maybe I want a vaccine, but I don't want the booster. I mean, like, let's give the final takeaway for some of our viewers now.
Yeah, I think the final takeaway is to keep in mind that it's not just you or your mom or your siblings that you're impacting if you do test positive for COVID. I think it's you need to remember you're impacting everyone around you. And so, if you think you're having symptoms, please go get tested right away. If it comes back positive, if you can stay home for at least 5 days, please stay home. If you can't, and even if you can, please wear a mask around others for at least 10 days. And also consider really reaching out to a prescriber, going to a pharmacy or to an urgent care center, and they can do test and treat options right there. We have a lot of antivirals that can help against these newer strains and be effective at reducing the duration of the symptoms. And so I think that that's really kind of the key point here, is to take care of yourself and take care of others.
Dr. Jamie Wagner, I really appreciate you breaking it down for us and looking at all sides of this debate and this information. I appreciate you breaking down all sides for us, and I know our viewers got a lot out of it. So we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Andrew, for having me. Have a good day.
Good morning. Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk. And I think all of us want to be able to have that healthy, glowing skin. And these days you hear about serums, you hear about all kinds of different face lotions, and all of those things can really add up. Believe it or not, according to Statista, consumers spend around $2,000 per year on those skincare products. And I do have a special guest that is joining me now that is going to maybe help to save you some money, Dr. Fayne Frye. She is a recognized dermatologist and consumer advocate. She also released a book, The Skincare Hoax, How You're Being Tricked into Buying Lotions, Potions, and Wrinkle Cream. Dr. Frye, good morning. Glad to have you with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course, this is a topic that I am looking forward to kind of diving into and finding out some of your tricks of the trade to help save some money, because I know myself, a lot of times have spent money on these serums. You're like, well, are these really working? Or sometimes you get them and you don't like the way they work. They're not making any kind of difference. And so you can spend a lot of money and have this surplus of all these serums and lotions. Tell me a little bit more about some ways maybe I can save some money.
Well, you can limit the products you use to the ones that are really good for you. The skincare industry is a great industry. It makes a lot of great products, but it also sells a lot of confusion and a lot of products that we don't need. The number one product you should use is sunscreen. Get sunscreen on every day, 365 days a year, and you can purchase national and internationally known brands because they have resources to make great products, and that's a great place to start.
Because like you said, sunscreen, I've heard that a lot of people don't think, if it's not sunny outside, do I still need to put it on? I mean, this is something you need to be putting on each and every day. Is there any particular type when people are looking for one specifically for their face? Are there any certain things that they need to look for on the back of the bottle?
Well, recommended is an SPF 30 or higher, a good broad spectrum sunscreen. A good place to go. I have a website called FryFace, FryFace. Where national and internationally known brands are on there, and the appropriate SPF is already on there. And again, these are affordable brands that you can buy at your local drugstore. And to answer your question, you need to put sunscreen on every single day, even in the shady days, the cloudy days, because the sun ultraviolet light penetrates 365 days a year, and we get a lot of incidental sun. So it should be a habit, just like brushing your teeth is a habit. Sunscreen every single day is a habit. And I offer a nice website where people can go. I don't sell anything. I don't work for a skincare company. I'm just trying to advocate for the consumer and give them somewhere to go and simplify the process.
So if you were to say, okay, these are some 5 must-haves that are going to really help save you some money, some cost-cutting products. I know you mentioned sunscreen. Are there any other ones that you're like, hey, these are going to be great for you?
Well, sunscreen is a must, because sunscreen is going to protect from, again, the sun's ultraviolet rays that cause the sun damage and skin cancer. But in addition to that, skin is an organ, Amanda, and if it's healthy, it will function best. And so if the skin is dry, and the consumer will know, you'll see dry flakes and scales. If the skin is dry, then we recommend a moisturizer. And again, you can select a good quality moisturizer for a very affordable price at the local drugstore. A third product, which would be nice to have on your vanity, is petrolatum or petroleum jelly. No, you won't put it on from head to toe every day, but it is the most versatile product probably on the market. You can use it for a chafed nose if you have a cold on your lips. You can use it on dry elbows, knees, and around your nails. It just has so many uses. It's another really good product to have available for you.
Petroleum jelly, that was something that my grandmother, she actually used to put it on her face every night before she would go to bed and swore by it. And she did have, I mean, her skin looked great. So it's great that there are those products like that because, like I said, you can spend a lot of money. You know, you hear a lot these days, I think some of the buzzwords that you hear a lot about is like retinol and serum. If someone is maybe wanting to look into maybe purchasing that type of product, how do you know if it's going to be right for you? And how do you, are there certain, it's always like, when I look on the back of the bottle, is there something I need to be looking for to say, hey, this is going to be great?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. The problem with the skincare industry is it's a blind item. Consumers don't understand the ingredients. And so you have to rely on the marketing. But you have to also know, as being a mindful consumer, and that the overwhelming majority of these anti-aging products, serums, night creams, day creams, eye creams, these are cosmetics. And by law, these cosmetics don't intend to really change permanently the structure or function of skin, because if they did by law, they'd be drugs and have to go through the FDA. So to answer your question, these products are fun. Some of them are fun to apply, but don't expect them to really change the structure or function of your skin permanently, because by law, they're not even designed to do that.
And you know, one thing for me, I know myself, I've Googled a lot sometimes, like, what are some homemade face creams or masks that I can make myself at home? You hear about things like using coconut oil or avocado or things like that. Is there, and sometimes different times of the year is better than others. I've heard of using even coffee grounds as kind of an exfoliant. Do you have any combinations that you would recommend, especially for this time of year?
Look, these are really fun habits to do when you get together with your friends to throw some things on your face. But I don't recommend do-it-yourself products for the reason if there's any water or water-like substance in there, these products become contaminated. Home concoctions don't have preservative in them. So you're looking at overgrowth of mold and bacteria, and you really shouldn't be putting those products near your eyes and your mouth. So I don't recommend over-the-counter, do-it-yourself kitchen kind of substances. If you're going to do it for an hour or two and have some fun, there's none in particular I would say has medical science or real base, proof that they work. So short of having a good time, it's just not something I recommend.
Good advice there. And what about when it comes to cleansers, like facial cleansers and things like that? Because I know that some people might just say, well, I'm just going to get that normal Dial soap and use it on my face. Is there certain things as far as looking for that facial cleanser that you need to keep in mind?
Well, that's another whole topic of cleansers. If you have healthy skin, there's no science that says you have to put a cleanser on your face to begin with. I wash just with water. If you prefer a cleanser because you wear a lot of heavy oil-based makeup and you don't want to soil your pillowcase at night, you can purchase again at the local drugstore from top, name brands, quality soap-free cleansers that will remove the makeup. But cleanser removes the lipids and the proteins and the healthy things your skin needs to maintain hydration. So just to use a cleanser for the sake of using a cleanser for someone with healthy skin, I can't even tell you that's absolutely necessary.
Well, good deal. Well, Dr. Frey, any other last advice you want to share with some of our viewers out there that are watching this morning?
No, but to love yourself for who you are. Most of these products, again, are fun, but they're not necessary. And again, I hope you get a chance to enjoy the website, Fryface, F-R-Y-F-A-C-E, where we help you make those selections.
Well, Dr. Frey, we really appreciate your time. I know that you are a busy lady, so we appreciate you, some good advice and some helpful tips for our viewers this morning. You have a good one, all right?
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the latest edition of the Memphis Flyer out on newsstands right now. There it is, what is that? The class of 2023. We're talking about the top 30 or top 20 under 30. Excuse me. Top 20 under 30. Chris McCoy, I know you're shaking your head over there. I'm so sorry. How are you doing, Chris? That's what happens when you get up at 2:30 in the morning. So sorry.
Better you than me. Yes, we're talking about the 20 under 30 class of 2023, and this is something that the Memphis Flyer and the New Memphis Institute does every year. I think this is we were trying to figure out. I think it's maybe the 13th or 14th year that we've done this. And so what we do is we ask our readers for nominations of outstanding young people, people who we think are going to be future leaders of Memphis. And this year we got about 60 or 70 nominations or something like that. And then we go through them and we pick the top 20 young people and we do little profiles of them for our cover story. Which means I did 20 interviews, talked to all these really dynamic and energetic and overachieving young people. And, we do this in order to, introduce our readers, introduce Memphis to the people who are going to be the leaders of Memphis in the future. And we go ahead and ask them, what kind of Memphis you want to build? What are you doing? And, like I said, I've been doing this story for several years now, and it's one of my favorite things to do every year because, as you know, in the news business, a lot of times we end up bringing people bad news or bringing up people, news that is uncomfortable to hear, but they need to hear. And in this, I get to talk about great people doing great stuff. So it's always fun for me to do it, and I love bringing this news to Memphis and introducing these folks to Memphis.
We appreciate it, Chris, and I agree with you. It is nice to kind of take a break and highlight some of the positive aspects and the positive people making a difference in our community. I remember you talking about this last year, and such the impressive list of people that are on this list that you have. What struck you about this group, the class of 2023?
Well, I think, I don't know about making a generalization about all these folks because they are all very different and they're doing a lot of different stuff. I think we had a lot of people who were very science and medicine focused this year, which like Dr. Adam Chan, for example, who is the chief resident physician at UT Health Services Center in the adult psychiatry residency program. And he's working on transcranial magnetic stimulation, where they take high intensity magnetic fields and they use it to change the chemistry, change the electrical patterns in your brain. And this helps people who have really have depression, who can't shake it. It's really good for them, and they're just scratching the surface of what this technology can do. And Dr. Chan's like 29 years old, and to be doing this kind of work and to be thinking, that far ahead, but at the same time, we had folks like Lily K. Donaldson, who is Miss United States 2022. And, she showed up at the event last night. She had her sash and her crown and everything. And, but she's also working on a PhD program in vertical agriculture, urban vertical agriculture. So we had a really, really wide, variety of people. I think that's that's the thing that I think you should take away from this. They're very diverse, and not just, racially diverse or socioeconomically diverse, but also in what they do. We have Gunter Gopp, who is a composer. We had Fred Griffin, who's a fashion designer. Have you seen those pink University of Memphis Tiger shorts? That was Fred's idea. We have all sorts of people. It really gives me, like I said, this is one of the things that really gives me hope about Memphis, is to meet these folks and to bring their stories to you.
Since you've been doing this now for more than a decade, I think you said 13 years, do you find that a majority of them are native Memphians or people who just moved here, a split down the middle?
Oh, that is a really good question. Because I've always found, in my personal experience and also in my experience as a journalist, that Memphis has a lot of imports. People who come here, a lot of times they come here from small towns around the area. And they do great things. They find their found families here, and they end up doing great things. I mean, that's Elvis's story, frankly, but it happens all the time. I saw a lot of that, especially this year. But I did see a lot of this. Now that you mention it, this year I saw a lot of people who were born in Memphis, who left the city to go get an education or to go pursue their career somewhere else. And then they came back here, and they decided that they're going to stay here and make a stand and try to make the city a better place. That's been the trend that I saw this year, if I could identify any single trend. But yeah, that's a great question.
I appreciate that. Hey, listen, I'm a transplant, 16 years here. I love it. My wife, a native Memphian, so I can understand the passion on both sides of this issue. Anything else we want to mention before we let you go? And we know that people can pick it up on newsstands right now and also read it at memphisflyer.com.
That's right. That's right. I would encourage people to read this story. I encourage people to read all my stories, of course, but I encourage people to read this story. Like I said, it gives me hope, and I hope that that's what it does for you as well.
Okay, you can pick it up on newsstands right now. Chris McCoy having the duty and also the honor of finding 20 under 30 that are just such impressive Memphians, making a difference, the future leaders of our city. Chris McCoy, as always, we appreciate you on the digital desk and all the work that you do. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Clouds and some flurries here across the Mid-South this morning. You'll still have that potential as we go through early afternoon. This is noon today. Anywhere where you see clouds, you could still see flurries. Notice temperatures above freezing, so anything that falls won't be sticking or causing any big problems. Clouds will gradually clear out, at least for a few hours. By 5 o'clock, it's clear in eastern Arkansas. We're seeing sunshine in areas like Shelby County, going down to Tunica. Still some clouds at 5, but you'll see those clearing out, as I mentioned, for a few hours. More moves in by around 11 o'clock tonight. This is 11:30. May even squeeze out a shower or two in Tunica. Helena, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some flurries overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. All of that will push east. So by 7:30 tomorrow, we clear everything out. We'll have a clear sky on Friday. That will help warm us up, which we need because today's really cold, high around 40 degrees. But look at the wind chills today. Because of the breeze, we feel like the 20s and lower 30s through the morning. You might see that wind chill get as high as around 34 this afternoon, but that would be the extent of it. Here are the winds that I was talking about. Wind gusts around 20 miles per hour this morning into early afternoon. By 6 o'clock, we'll finally start to see those winds dying down, but it'll be breezy today, just like what we had yesterday. This weekend, rain chances increase, and we will be a little bit warmer. I guess that's the upside. 54 degrees on Saturday, 52 Sunday, but a cold front moves through Sunday, so temperatures will drop. You'll probably end up in the 40s by the afternoon, but you'll at least start off a little bit warmer. Let's check out timing. 10 p.m. on Saturday, you have a few showers pushing in, so most of your day on Saturday Saturday will be dry. After 5 or 6, I can't completely rule out a stray shower, but I think most of this will hold off until 10 or 11. It'll rain overnight Saturday. By Sunday morning, this is 7 a.m., you get widespread rain. It'll be raining through the morning, but then by noon, we start to dry out along and north of I-40. There will still be some showers in northeast Mississippi, but even those are gone by 3 o'clock. And temperatures will continue to drop as we get into the evening. It'll be pretty chilly at the start of next week. Rainfall totals around an inch from Memphis down into Holly Springs, ½ inch in Blytheville, Dyersburg. Rainfall totals a little bit higher, you'll notice, in North Mississippi. So this will be a pretty good soaking, but there's no severe weather to worry about with this one. If you want to get updates on that weekend rain chance, we keep you updated and show you that First Alert feature cast that I just showed you there on our First Alert weather app. You can download it for free in the App Store or your Google Play Store. So here's our First Alert 7-day forecast. We're at 41 today. I told you, though, it'll feel like the 30s today. Low temperature tonight and 31 in Memphis. Outside of Memphis, most of us will probably be in the 20s this evening. And then 55 on Friday, sunshine tomorrow. We will have a breezy wind coming in about 20 to 25 miles per hour again tomorrow too. Upper 30s on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, I showed you those 50s. Behind the front though, we're back into the 30s on Sunday night. 45 is your high on Monday. It does look like we'll be dry on Monday, but then we have a chance for rain Tuesday. And Tuesday through Thursday next week, something to watch for us. The freezing line is going to be hanging out near the Mid-South, so we may see rain, freezing rain, and sleet next week, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday. Still several days out, so we'll keep you updated, but right now there is a first alert to the potential for winter weather next week.
You know, there's been a lot of talk recently about the demand for retired workers during the labor shortage, and we ran a survey, and there was apparently a survey of 800 retirees all across the U.S. to find out just how many are planning to go back to work and why. And apparently there was 1 in 5 are likely to go back to work this year. Let's talk more about what else this survey had to say with our career expert, Stacy Holler. Stacy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you, Andrew.
So listen, Stacy, you know, I'm thinking about retirees and some of the reasons they're going back to work. And my first thing, just because it's been in the news recently, is the fact that maybe they've had this fixed income for many years and inflation is just blowing them out right now. Is that one of the reasons?
Absolutely, that's one of the reasons. I mean, people thought they had their plan set for retirement, and in so many ways, the world changed in the last 2 years. So everything's flipped around, but absolutely financial reasons are some of the reasons retirees are looking to go back to work.
I understand that, and I can understand why they're going back to work. It makes me sad, you know, because I feel bad for them. They think, oh, okay, I got my nest egg, I'm ready to go and relax. What is I don't know if this survey really kind of gauged this, but what was their attitude of getting back in the workforce? Were they excited? Were they upset about it?
I'm so glad you asked that, because it's been very interesting in my practice and speaking with these folks who are going back. They're actually excited about going back. I've had several conversations in the last week. In fact, this morning I was talking to a 72-year-old retiree who said he missed working. He missed people. He missed collaboration. And I hear from many people that even if the financial reasons aren't the reason that they're retiring, they just thought it was the time to go play golf, they're like, they still want to be engaged. Most of the people I speak with are excited because they have an opportunity to go back to work on their own terms at this stage in their career. They could work flexible hours, they could work remote, they could work part-time. So it's a whole different purview for these folks.
You know, I'm interested, Stacy, maybe a little bit of a deeper dive here. I would think that maybe perhaps they're excited, and I don't know if you gauge this, but they're excited because, you know, for 2 years or so, we've been in this pandemic keeping everybody separate, and now here we are, you have an opportunity to be with people again, and so you're excited about this opportunity. Is that something you saw?
I do. It is partly because of that for sure. But even if they're working remote, then they have some camaraderie even with remote workers. So yes, that is a part of it. I also have been speaking with a lot of CEOs in the last few weeks, and they are just bored. They're not ready to get out of the game. So I speak to a lot of people who are excited just to be back in the game. They still want to contribute. You know, older workers are much younger these days.
Very true. Very true. And I understand that they're going back, Stacey, to a different kind of field than they retired from. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's really, they feel like it's an opportunity to do something new and different. And that's why where a little of the excitement comes now. That's not to say, Andrew, that there's a bunch of people that are working because they really need to, and they're not as excited. But I speak to an awful lot of people who want to try something new, or the CEOs want to go into consulting, or I've spoken to people who were in more of my business, recruiting for years, and now they want to do some other type of phone work. So there is a little bit of excitement to do something that maybe you always wanted to do, and you could afford to do that right now and still be engaged. So it really runs the gamut, Andrew. People have a lot of different reasons for going back, but it's not as downtrodden as you would think. These people are excited about still contributing. There is no retirement age anymore in a lot of these people's minds.
Well said, Stacey. I don't know if you have this in your survey, but you know, I'm curious as how employers are reacting to this wealth of knowledge of retirees coming back into the workforce. Any idea? Can we gauge on what they're feeling?
Yeah, those are the people who are reaching out to the retirees. I mean, there's a lot of challenges now in the workplace. Everybody's trying to figure out how to work remote. And it's very welcoming for these people to bring back folks. Some of them are going back to their old organizations part-time, and they're being asked to because they have the experience and the knowledge. They don't have to learn the basics of the workforce, and they can become mentors to other people. And they already have an established experience. So in many ways, it's easier to bring them in with their experience and knowledge that they could share.
What else have we haven't touched on, Stacey, that came out from this survey that you got? Because this is all fascinating to me, and it actually paints a more of an optimistic and upbeat view of things.
For me, from my purview, it is encouraging. I think these retirees who in the past years were very limited as to options. You were told to retire, and then maybe if you still needed to work or wanted to be engaged in work, you had to look locally because you still, at an older age, you might not want to commute 2 hours a day. So you were pretty limited in what your choices are. But the choices for retirees who want to go back to work now is much more open. And that's why you hear in me a little excitement about it, because I'm hearing people who still want to be engaged and have opportunities they didn't have before. So although a lot of them are also doing it for financial reasons, it's not like earlier in their career where they might have taken something that they didn't love because they had to. Retirees are feeling a little more wiggle room in really doing something that they like to do, and they might not have to do it full time. So they could enjoy it more on a part-time basis.
I follow 100%. Anything else, Stacey, before we let you go? This has been very informative. I like it a lot.
Well, I love preaching this and letting people know it's out there, because I do think that there are retirees out there who don't know this is a good time for them. Whether they want to get back in for financial reasons, they just want to stay engaged, they still want to contribute, or there's something they always wanted to do that they might have the opportunity to do now. So I love sharing that information, and I hope those folks out there who still want to be engaged realize they can be if they'd like to today.
Okay, Stacey Haller, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We appreciate your fact-finding mission, and take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so you've heard about 401ks, health care, but what about child care benefits? As the cost of child care continues to climb, it's become one of the fastest growing trends in business, and Memphis Transit Authority is the latest company to jump on board. Starting this month, Memphis Area Transit Authority will pay $200 a month towards their employees' child care. So the company is partnering up with child care tech app Tutris, which has more than 185,000 licensed child care providers on its network. MATA parents simply just go online, they type in their city or their zip code, and then they browse through a list of child care providers that show how many openings they have in real time or on the app. And then MATA will pay the first $200 of the monthly enrollment, with parents picking up the rest of the tab. Here's what MATA had to say about all this.
I'm actually really excited that we're having this program as a three-time mom, I guess, with the newborn. This is right on time. COVID has definitely changed what the workforce could look like. Has changed what people are looking for in companies. To be able to provide this additional benefit, I think is definitely great. We have a night shift, we have swing shifts, we have early morning shifts. And so, childcare definitely can be an issue if you have a driver that has to come in at 3:30 in the morning, or if you have a mechanic or someone who works in our maintenance department that works the 12 to 8 shift. So hopefully have childcare that can correlate with those schedules is definitely a plus.
Okay, so MATA, again, partnering up with the child care tech app Tutris. Now, joining us now to talk more about the future of child care, we have the CEO of Tutris, Jeff McAdam. Actually, he's a Tutris creative director, I should say. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having me this morning. Happy to be here. And we're talking about Tutris as well, and the partnership with Memphis Transit Authority, and it's an exciting one for us. And we're finding that it is a very common trend that we are starting to see in business, especially in the past year or so. Every month, it feels like we're doubling our partnerships. If we had 2 last month, now it's 4 more companies jumping on this month, and it's because a lot of companies are finding that their parents can't get to work because there's a childcare shortage that's going on. It's not just happening in Tennessee; it's going on nationwide.
Yeah, so Jeff, let's talk a little bit about Tutris. Many of our viewers right now, for the first time, they're hearing this. They're hearing about this app and perhaps how it works. Can you take us through how this thing works, how MATA was on board, the Memphis Area Transit Authority, if you are familiar with that, and how people can get involved?
Yeah, you got it. So what Tutris is a tech platform. It is the largest childcare platform in the country. So at the heart and soul of what this thing does is there's 185,000 licensed childcare providers nationwide that are listed on it. It's kind of like the Airbnb of childcare. So if you're a childcare provider that's out there who wants to market their program, they go to Tutris in order to get themselves out there, and it's free for childcare providers to use. A lot of people don't realize this, but 70% of the overall licensed childcare providers nationwide are those smaller in-home daycares that most parents would never even know how to find. You can't find them in a Google search. I'm a dad. I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I was actually a reporter doing a story on this company about 1.5 years ago. I was going through the childcare search, and I felt like I was banging my head against the wall, trying to find a place that's a good fit. You could spend weeks, if not over a month, trying to find a good fit. And then this app comes along and it streamlines the process. It helps parents go online with a simple search. You put in your city or your zip code, and it shows you all the availability in your area, and it shows you the openings they have in real time. So it says 3 openings, or it says 5 openings. That way you don't have to pick up the phone and call and not know the results before you even get the process started. And so companies partner with Tutris because they go, listen, our problem is twofold. One, parents don't know where to find childcare, like me. And 2, even if they can find it, can they afford it? And so that's where Tutris comes in. The best thing to kind of combat against rising prices is the opportunity to shop around. So when you have 5 or 6 or 7 opportunities in your area, well, now you can kind of gauge program to program which one is the best one for you, whether it's the age range that it serves, the price that it serves, and businesses tap into Tutris for their employees because they say, we want to make it as easy as possible for you to find childcare, so we can rely on you guys coming to work and being productive employees. In fact, companies like Memphis Transit Authority say, not only will we let you tap into this platform, Tutris, we're going to up the ante. We want to be able to pay $200 a month towards your childcare benefits in order to just make it a little bit easier. So if you're trying to sit at home and debate, I'm spending $1,500 a month on childcare for my 2 kids, does it make more sense for me to stay home and just take care of them? If half my paycheck is going to childcare, well, maybe that $200 a month helps ease the burden just enough to make you, feel the incentive to want to stay at work and to let your kids go to a place that you feel comfortable, a quality license program. So it's a win for childcare providers because you have parents coming directly to them. It's a win, of course, for the parents, and it's a win for the employer because they get to hold on to their employee, if that makes sense.
It does. And Jeff, I'm kind of interested because in our MATA piece, we talked about how MATA is putting forward, they're paying essentially $200 a month towards their employees' child care. Is that something where that's pretty standard, right, across the country? Or how else do companies do this?
Yeah, we have 2 different levels that we see from a lot of companies. A lot of companies just give their employees access to the Tutris platform. So that's level option 1. And then if companies want to go a step above and beyond that, they can make that contribution as well. And so Memphis Transit is kind of leading the country. They're one of the companies that say, hey, not only do we want to give access to that platform, but we want to be able to put a little bit of stake in the game and help chip away at it. And I'm looking at Tennessee's average monthly cost of childcare, or yearly, I should say, it's almost $9,000 a year. So, you put $200 a month times 12, you're talking $2,400. That's about 30% of the childcare costs for the year. At worst, infant care is the most expensive, and then it gets cheaper as the kids age up towards the age of 5. And so you get at least 30% of the child care covered by Memphis Transit Authority by doing this subsidy and this child care benefit. And what a lot of people don't realize too is, you got kids age 8, 10, 12, and you think, well, child care doesn't apply to me. My child's too old. That's not the case because this also applies for summer camps and stuff. And those can get pricey too. You could spend $1,500 on a summer camp. Well, guess what? Memphis Transit Authority is going to pay a sizable amount towards that summer camp as well. So it really serves ages 12 and under, and it's a game changer for young families, that's for sure.
Tutris. So, Jeff, let me ask you something. I'm trying to figure this out so I know it intently here. Our story, we said that MATA is paying $200 a month towards their employees' child care. The company is partnering up with Tutris. Does the money go towards the employee, to the app, the company? How does that partnership work exactly?
You got it. Well, with any benefit, whether it's a 401k, whether it's healthcare, whether it's childcare, it's great that companies want to implement something like that. But some of those can be very hands-on and intensive, and so it's more of a burden administratively. And we wanted to ease all that. So what we did is we streamlined a concierge service, so to speak, right directly through us. So the company, like MATA, says, listen, we want to give each employee $200 a month. You please, Tutris, streamline it through your app, have the money flow into the app, have the parents be able to take it straight out of the app and give it right to the child care provider. So it kind of just comes right through the system and then right into the bank account of the child care provider. So it's seamless. It's almost instantaneous, but it's there on a regular basis. So a parent can count on that discount when they go to pay at the end of the month or the start of the month, depending on how their child care provider works. They automatically see that $200 deduction in their system when they go to hit, send on their payments. It's already $200 deducted right off the top. So it just streamlines right through the computer system.
Okay, so it's like a credit, a $200 credit.
You got it. That's exactly
right. Perfect. Okay, so our viewers, they're looking at this. They're perhaps interested in something with Tutris. They want to get involved or at least see how it works. Is this like any other app? I mean, there's 185,000 licensed child care providers on your network there. Is it just like we, put in the zip code, the city, and boom, we're done?
Yeah, you got it. Exactly. If you just go online to Tutris.com, or you can download the app if you got it on your phone. And it's super easy. The very first thing you'll notice when you go to that home screen is the search box. You type in your city, type in your zip code, type in your neighborhood, whatever you want to do, and hit enter, and every licensed childcare provider in your area pops up, and it shows you their availability in real time. Lets you look at the pictures if they've posted pictures of the place, if they've posted a virtual tour or a video tour. Yeah, you can do that right there as well. You can see their total curriculum right there on their front page, including like what age range do they serve. And you can even click on their state licensing information. So let's say this place looks good. As a parent, one of the first questions that I always have is, but pictures can always be deceiving. I'd love to see what the state records look like. Have they had visits, and what were the results of those visits? We have it all. It's right on there. You can click on it and you can see, gosh, they were visited twice last year. And what was it for? Oh, clean bill of health. Great. I feel great. Or you can see otherwise if there's different, marks or different notes from a visit in the past. And the great thing about Tutris is it cycles on a weekly basis, a couple times a month too, to refresh the system. So it's always in good standing. We're making sure that childcare providers, the licensed childcare providers, do have their license up to date and that nothing is in default. So we only have the best quality license programs available online for both parents and for employers.
Anything else you want to mention before we let you go, Jeff? I appreciate this. It's been very informative.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, we're just excited. I mean, as a dad, I feel like it's a long time coming. The childcare system in general has just been broken for decades and decades and decades. This pandemic just devastated the entire system even more. We lost over 16,000 childcare programs nationwide because a lot of parents pulled their kids out of programs. They were worried about pandemic breakouts in their own childcare classrooms. And so a lot of these childcare providers and programs didn't survive. They didn't come back. And what few availability was left is only gotten tighter, which means the costs are going up and up. This is the time where employers really need to help out. They can jump in. They can really change the game. Maybe something bad in a pandemic has opened up the opportunity for something wonderful and good, a change that's been decades overdue. So we're excited about it, and excited to see programs like companies like MATA taking the initiative to help their employees out.
Okay, Jeff McAdam, Tutris Creative Director. We appreciate you giving us the intel this morning, and good luck to you and the rest of 2023. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. All right, so Hugh Jackman, Kourtney Kardashian, Jennifer Aniston, J-Lo, Elon Musk, just a few of the people that swear by intermittent fasting. Is it really safe? How do you actually know you're doing intermittent fasting? What will it do for you? Would it help you reach your health goals in 2023? Let's bring in Dr. Amy Duffy here. She is the international best-selling author of Normal Doesn't Have Side Effects, and she has been a part of the Action News 5 digital desk in the past. We appreciate you coming on once again, Amy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I'm so excited to be here and share this information. It's super fun.
Yeah, I am a person that loves to intermittent fast myself. I do it at work, and I have kind of like a, 10 to 12 hour window. First, explain what it is for our audience out there and some of the different ways, because there's all kinds of different ways, I guess, to define intermittent fasting, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways. I kind of narrow it down to two different ways when I'm talking to my patients. I have the calendar way and I have the clock way. So the calendar way, this makes it a little bit more easy to process. Pick 2 days of the week, make sure they're not 2 days in a row. And on the 2 days that you X out here, you're going to fast those 2 days. On the other days, you can eat like normal. You can also adjust this different weeks throughout the month. So let's say you got a hot date one night, you want to adjust your time or something going on at work. So this way, it's super easy. A little bit more difficult to fast for a whole day. A lot of people start with something more like the clock way. So you're going to pick a time frame, a window, just like you described, where you're eating, and then a window where you're fasting or not eating. So let's imagine that you're going to start eating at noon and you're going to stop eating at 6 p.m. and then you don't resume eating until noon the next day. This makes it super easy because you're focused more on when you're eating and not just what you're eating. So you don't have to count carbs, you don't have to count calories. You want to have a glass of wine? Let's have a glass of wine. How about a beer? Sure, have a beer. Or you can even eat your favorite chocolate. Now, you're going to get better results for weight loss and overall health, cardiovascular, reducing the risk of diabetes, etc. if you're going to choose healthier foods, right? So eat your apple, have a salad for that meal. But it really is super simple and easy to follow. I get a lot of questions, Dr. Duffy, is this safe for us to do? And intermittent fasting can be really safe. In fact, we're seeing a lot of data. That's why doctors are loving it, that it really works, not just for weight loss, for actually reducing our risk of disease. So it's very safe, and we're really recommending it to a lot of people. The few people who need to pay attention, if you're diabetic and you're monitoring your blood sugar with either a blood sugar monitor, like when you're checking your blood on your finger, or you have one of those continuous glucose monitors, you want to make sure you talk to your doctor about that. This may be something you need to adjust. Or perhaps you're on medication and that medication needs to be taken with food, then you need to pay attention to the timing there or chat with your doctor about that. Outside of that, intermittent fasting, super safe, really easy to follow, and it works. That's why it's the #1 fad diet in America.
Is it really #1? Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. #1 fad diet in America. Gotcha. Let's get into specifics about the best candidates for intermittent fasting. Is there a certain body type? What about age groups?
Kids are growing, so we certainly don't want to restrict them. Usually kids are eating more for natural hunger, as opposed to sometimes we just want to eat because we're feeling munchy or something like that. So probably you want to wait until they're older teenagers or adults before they start fasting. But kids will actually naturally fast. They just don't eat when they're not hungry, right? So that's okay, age-wise. As we get older, really, there's no age limit where you would not want to intermittent fast. So that's pretty easy to do. Really, every body type is great. And one of the best things about intermittent fasting, it's not like the keto diet. Keto is okay, and you're going to get results from that, but it's really short-lived. It's hard to live in the keto world for a really long time. But once you start to get used to intermittent fasting, this can be something that you can do for life. So it's really a great thing for anybody who's trying to either maintain their weight or really try to lose weight. If you're going to lose weight, you may want to avoid some of those fun foods that we were talking about, at least in the beginning, until you get to your maintenance weight. But really, that's what's so great about intermittent fasting, is it really can be for anyone.
Yeah, it is. And it's something that I've enjoyed. I do it usually at work, and I don't generally do it on the weekends. But questions around intermittent fasting, because then some people ask, well, what about someone who doesn't eat all day or goes several days and all they have is water or coffee or something like that? Is that safe? I always hear that when you do intermittent fasting, or when you fast for, let's say, a day or so, it really helps your cells. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's actually studies that show really the magic happens when you're looking at reducing inflammation or regeneration of damaged cells, happens when you get into the 18 to 21 hour fast window and beyond that. So, for weight loss purposes, it's really great to start and simple to start with something like an 8-16 or a 16-8 fast. But when you're really trying to correct some dysfunction there or reduce inflammation, you want to get into those longer fasts. And there are some studies where doing a longer, 24-hour, 36-hour fast can really be beneficial, especially like for cancer. We're kind of starving the cancer, if you want to think about it that way. So there's some studies that really look around that. Of course, you want to make sure that you're hydrated. And again, if you're struggling with low blood sugar, things like that, then you just want to pay attention to that. Sometimes there are some foods that are allowed in the fasting. So some of those fasting days, there's some articles that talk about you can eat up to 500 calories and that still would be considered a fast. There are other people who do what they call one meal a day. And basically they're fasting throughout the day and they just have one meal. So it's not even a window of, time 6 hours. It's just one meal a day. Again, the term intermittent fasting is important. So if you go to one meal a day, that's okay, but you may want to adjust that throughout your week in terms of what time that meal is, because if you do that every day for the rest of your life, your body's going to adapt to that. And then it's not really intermittent anymore. So, once you get into it, you may want to start adjusting that time frame a little bit.
What does it do for your metabolism? Does it speed it up? Does it slow it down? Do we know?
There's kind of this idea that people who are gaining weight or can't lose weight have a slow metabolism. And then people who can, it seems like they just have an unlimited amount of food that they can eat, but they're still skinny, have a fast metabolism. I don't know that that's really real. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into that. So intermittent fasting, I would say probably, whether you want to call it metabolism, but when you're fasting, it actually speeds up your body's ability to get stored fat. So you're not starving yourself. If you go into starvation mode over a long period of time, your body starts looking for energy in the form of your muscle. So it's going to use up muscle, where the ability with intermittent fasting is actually gathering your fat cells. So your metabolism improves in the fact that it's helping you to burn fat instead of burn calories from muscle or your food, basically. So it's really going to help you lose more fat.
All right, so if our viewers are interested, we've been talking about this for a few minutes, they're interested, they're like, okay, let me try this out. What would be your recommendation if someone wanted to try out intermittent fasting, Amy?
Yeah, that clock way is the easiest way, is just pick a window, between 6 and 8 hours that you're going to eat, and then the window between 16 to 18 hours that you're fasting. The easiest way, just like I described, is to start at noon, end at 6 or 7 p.m. That way you're sleeping through a good, if we're getting the 8 hours of sleep we're supposed to, you're sleeping during most of your fasting. A lot of people aren't starving first thing in the morning. You can have tea, you can have black coffee. You just don't want to consume a lot of calories. Make sure, you're still well hydrated. And then you just start eating again at lunchtime the next day. That is the easiest way to get started.
Awesome. Amy Duffy, we really appreciate your analysis, your insight on this. And thanks so very much. Happy New Year to you. Much success in 2023.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning. Clouds and some flurries here across the Mid-South this morning. You'll still have that potential as we go through early afternoon. This is noon today. Anywhere where you see clouds, you could still see flurries. Notice temperatures above freezing, so anything that falls won't be sticking or causing any big problems. Clouds will gradually clear out, at least for a few hours. By 5 o'clock, it's clear in eastern Arkansas. We're seeing sunshine in areas like Shelby County, going down to Tunica. Still some clouds at 5, but you'll see those clearing out, as I mentioned, for a few hours. More moves in by around 11 o'clock tonight. This is 11:30. May even squeeze out a shower or two in Tunica. Helena, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some flurries overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. All of that will push east. So by 7:30 tomorrow, we clear everything out. We'll have a clear sky on Friday. That will help warm us up, which we need because today's really cold, high around 40 degrees. But look at the wind chills today. Because of the breeze, we feel like the 20s and lower 30s through the morning. You might see that wind chill get as high as around 34 this afternoon, but that would be the extent of it. Here are the winds that I was talking about. Wind gusts around 20 miles per hour this morning into early afternoon. By 6 o'clock, we'll finally start to see those winds dying down, but it'll be breezy today, just like what we had yesterday. This weekend, rain chances increase and we will be a little bit warmer. I guess that's the upside. 54 degrees on Saturday, 52 Sunday, but a cold front moves through Sunday, so temperatures will drop. You'll probably end up in the 40s by the afternoon, but you'll at least start off a little bit warmer. Let's check out timing. 10 p.m. on Saturday, you have a few showers pushing in. So most of your day on Saturday Saturday will be dry. After 5 or 6, I can't completely rule out a stray shower, but I think most of this will hold off until 10 or 11. It'll rain overnight Saturday. By Sunday morning, this is 7 a.m., you get widespread rain. It'll be raining through the morning, but then by noon, we start to dry out along and north of I-40. There will still be some showers in northeast Mississippi, but even those are gone by 3 o'clock. And temperatures will continue to drop as we get into the evening. It'll be pretty chilly at the start of next week. Rainfall totals around an inch from Memphis down into Holly Springs, half inch in Blytheville, Dyersburg. Rainfall totals a little bit higher, you'll notice, in North Mississippi. So this will be a pretty good soaking, but there's no severe weather to worry about with this one. If you want to get updates on that weekend rain chance, we keep you updated and show you that First Alert feature cast that I just showed you there on our First Alert weather app. You can download it for free in the App Store or your Google Play Store. So here's our First Alert 7-day forecast. We're at 41 today. I told you, though, it'll feel like the 30s today. Low temperature tonight and 31 in Memphis. Outside of Memphis, most of us will probably be in the 20s this evening. And then 55 on Friday, sunshine tomorrow. We will have a breezy wind coming in about 20 to 25 miles per hour again tomorrow too. Upper 30s on Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, I showed you those 50s. Behind the front though, we're back into the 30s on Sunday night. 45 is your high on Monday. It does look like we'll be dry on Monday, but then we have a chance for rain Tuesday. And Tuesday through Thursday next week, something to watch for us. The freezing line is going to be hanging out near the Mid-South, so we may see rain, freezing rain, and sleet next week, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday. Still several days out, so we'll keep you updated, but right now there is a first alert to the potential for winter weather next week.
Before we let you go here on the digital desk, I want to point you to actionnews5.com for the top stories on our homepage. You can see that one of the top stories that we are following here is that District Attorney Steve Mulroy is going to hold a news conference 2 o'clock this afternoon with an update on the Tyre Nichols investigation. And when you click on that, you can kind of get caught up wherever you are and just kind of see where we are at this point in this investigation on multiple levels. You can also look at the latest on other stories that are our top headlines and top stories on actionnews5.com. And of course, every time you go to the homepage, always take a look at the pull-down menu at the very end. You can see the digital desk, and when you click on that, you can see all the interviews that we do each and every day on the Action News 5 digital desk. They run in its entirety. You can watch them all. You can share them on social media, share them with email or on a text, and that's where you can watch them on our website. So that does it for us here on the Action News 5 digital desk. We have Action News 5 at midday coming up at the top of the hour with Ariana Poindexter. We will have live reports and an update on the Tyre Nichols investigation. And then make sure you join us tomorrow for another edition of the Action News 5 digital desk. See you then.